Chapter 663. The Azure Sky Downlord and the others also noticed the changes in Lin Yu. This kid's cultivation method is different from ours. Could he be at the legendary Three Elements Merge realm? Cultivating divine will, battle physique, and glory energy. This only exists in legends. Even we couldn't do it back then. The Three Elements Merge realm is indeed very dangerous. If there's a slight mistake, the three powers won't be balanced in the body. In the end, he'll only be trapped in his own trap and suffer chi deviation. Wu Jiang, Nine Nether, and Yu Su spoke one after another to judge the profundity of Lin Yu's cultivation. Since you don't move aside, I'll kill Tsang Ling and Gui Rely as the commander of the human race. Go. Lin Yu's aura had already broken through to the 3-star supreme stage. The Azure Sky Downlord couldn't wait for Lin Yu to continue growing. The 4 Downlords were about to attack as soon as he finished speaking, but in the next moment 3 figures blocked their path. This old man hasn't stretched his muscles for a long time. I wonder if my fighting skills have deteriorated. Lu Yochi, who was the leader of the 3, chuckled. Beside him were the Jade Flower Downlord and Xian Du Downlord, who were also at the 4 Elements Merge realm. Li Sangtian, Nine Nether, and Yu Su could only stop when Lu Yochi and the other 2 appeared. They frowned slightly and waited. Sky Spill Downlord, are you sure you want to get involved in this mess? The others were wary of Lu Yochi, but the Azure Sky Downlord smiled faintly and didn't intend to stop for a long time. He was already in front of Lu Yochi. The golden crow fire burned fiercely, and everywhere it passed, space crackled. Lu Yochi shook his head helplessly, and a finger-sized ice crystal suddenly appeared in his hand. He crushed the ice crystal, and an extremely cold aura enveloped Lu Yochi's entire body. He took a step forward and looked into the eyes of the Azure Sky Downlord. Everyone could only watch. Since the Zither Empress death, these 2 people had been the strongest in the Sky Desert universe. Other than Nine Nether Downlord, who was at the 8 Elements Merge realm, they could still fight. The other Downlords couldn't join in a battle of this level. Lu Yuqi, can you still fight me with this body of yours? Rumor has it that the Jade Sky Downlord has already surpassed his master. That damned master of yours was once defeated by this old man. I wonder if this disciple of yours will be able to turn the tables on him? The 2 of them engaged in a battle of words. One was fire and the other was ice. A storm was coming. At this moment, 2 waves of energy burst out from Lin Yu's body. His cultivation had also risen from the level of a 3-star supremacy to that of a 4-star supremacy. 5-star supreme realm. Lin Yu abruptly opened his eyes. At the same time, the lightning tribulation in the sky descended. As the lightning tribulation descended, the entire starry sky of the Jade Silk Dao world began to crackle and tremble violently. Lu Yuqi and Bai Luo, who were about to fight, could only stop fighting and raise their hands. 2 enormous palm forces rose from the ground and collided with the lightning tribulation. The Jade Sky Downlord's expression was extremely ugly. Not only could he not kill Lin Yu, but he also had to block the heavenly tribulation for him. However, the range of the heavenly tribulation was too large. It covered all of them. If they didn't resist, they could only wait for death here. It wasn't just the 2 of them. The other Downlords around them, including Di Shur and Little Buddha, also circulated their cultivation to the extreme at this moment to block the heavenly tribulation. Brother Lin's tribulation is too terrifying. I've never seen such a powerful tribulation in the Sky Desert universe. It's as if the power of the entire Jade Silk Dao world is rejecting Lin Yu's breakthrough. At this moment, there was a place that was exceptionally calm. That was where Lin Yu was sitting cross-legged. He looked at the balanced Great Emperor in front of him. This scene of unity and cooperation against the heavenly tribulation. He couldn't help but nod. People of the Sky Desert should be like this. Lin Yu couldn't help but nod. When he stood up, he changed into a new set of clothes. When everyone saw that he was making sarcastic remarks and even changed his clothes, they almost spat out a mouthful of blood, especially the Jade Sky Dowlord and the others. When they saw that they couldn't kill Lin Yu and even helped him break through, they suddenly felt that the heavenly tribulation above them was 10 times heavier. Lin Yu tidied himself up. He knew that he couldn't stay here any longer. Once the heavenly tribulation disappeared, everyone would be in greater danger. He transmitted his voice to the people on his side. After Dao Jun, Di Shi, and the others nodded, Lin Yu ran away without looking back. "Damn it, you brat, stop right there. Shameless, this is your heavenly tribulation." The Jade Sky Dowlord and the others cursed. Lin Yu, who was thousands of miles away, turned back and smiled. "It's your heavenly tribulation." When the heavenly tribulation dissipated and everyone wanted to chase after Lin Yu, he seemed to have left the Jade Silk Dao world. "Let's see where you can run to." The Jade Sky Dowlord's anger made the golden crow flames flicker. But when he wanted to chase after Lin Yu, at the southern border of the Heaven Desert universe, in a desolate and uninhabited place, space shattered at this moment. A terrifying voice came from the crack in space. It wasn't a voice of a human, but a dense pack of demon beasts. "It's been 15,000 years, Dave. I'm here for revenge." The demon beasts were like loaches in a vast ocean, flooding out from the crack in space. Accompanying them were waves of extremely eerie netherworld energy. Behind the netherworld energy was a pair of scarlet eyes. When they opened, they looked at the core region of the Heaven Desert universe. That was the land of the human race's 9 worlds, where his mortal enemy was. At the edge of the Jade Silk Dao world, the Jade Sky Dowlord and the others stopped in their tracks. They had sensed the changes in the abyss of despair. "The 10,000 Beast War Emperor, Zhou Tian, has come out." The Jade Sky Dowlord narrowed his eyes, his voice filled with fear. The other Daolords' expressions changed. "Commander-in-Chief, what should we do now?" The Jade Sky Dowlord asked immediately. "We haven't caught Lin Yu yet. That kid is lucky. Let's return to our Dao worlds first, gather our forces, and attack the abyss of despair with me." The Jade Sky Dowlord looked in the direction that Lin Yu had disappeared, then looked behind him. Tian Yen and the others had disappeared as well. They had fallen for Lin Yu's diversion tactic. "I'll settle the score with you after I've dealt with the 10,000 Beast War Emperor." In the Jade Sky Dao world, everyone thought that Lin Yu had left. However, Lin Yu's figure appeared in the sky above the glazed moon-treading tower once again. He had left the Jade Sky Dao world under everyone's watchful eyes and returned through the teleportation array. Even those old foxes at the Dowlord level would never have expected this. The 10,000 Beast War Emperor, Zhou Tian, has come out of seclusion. Looks like there's going to be a good show. Lin Yu's lips curled up. He didn't care how these people fought, but according to his judgment, the demon beasts of the abyss of despair were no match for the human race. Chapter 664. Young Master. Master. After returning to the glazed moon-treading inn, the girls were so worried that they could not eat or sleep well. When they saw Lin Yu coming out, they regained some color. "Master, that terrifying heavenly tribulation just now, could it be an almighty undergoing the tribulation?" Lu Yanqing asked. Zhang Qingshu and the rest, as well as the 10 great supremes, appeared. However, when they saw Lin Yu, they suddenly felt an extremely strong pressure. Even though Lin Yu did not reveal his cultivation, Lu Yanqing and the 10 great supremes could see it at this moment. "Sky Supreme, Master, you broke through to Sky Supreme? Oh my God, how could it be so fast?" Lu Yanqing and Zhang Qingshu were in disbelief. The last time they met, Lin Yu was only at the 2nd level of the Law Realm. However, even at that time, Lin Yu could already give Lu Yanqing a sense of danger. Moreover, Lin Yu's entire body was emitting an aura of a perfect 5 elements supreme will. "That's right, the Almighty who broke through is your master." Before Lin Yu could speak, 4 figures appeared behind him. The one who spoke was the hunchbacked old woman. Beside her were Dao Jun, Gui Rulai, Di Shi, and Little Buddha. Battle God Yu Su. Lu Yanqing was shocked when she saw Di Shi and immediately bowed. I'm no longer Battle God Yu Su. When I see that old thief Yu Su in the future, I'll definitely avenge my parents. Di Shi's killing intent surged. He looked at Lin Yu and said in a much gentler tone, Brother Lin, I can't thank you enough. It's fine. Lin Yu smiled. Dao Master Yu Su must have sensed our return. Therefore, we can only hide here for a while. If he attracts Dao Master Yu Su and the rest, it will be troublesome. Greetings, Dao Master. The 10 great supremes and Zhang Qingxue knelt down when they saw the hunchbacked old woman. Dao Master. Everyone was shocked. Zhang Qingxue came from Songling Dao world. Could the person in front of them be the current Dao Master Songling? Get up. Sect Master Songling nodded casually and looked at Lin Yu to size him up. How did you become a heavenly sovereign the moment you broke through? I noticed that his method of breaking through to Earth sovereign was already unusual. Gui Rulai immediately laughed. For the Sword Emperor to have a successor like you, this old man is rather envious of him. Sword Emperor's successor? Dao Master Songling was stunned. Aren't you the successor of the Zither Emperor? Gui Rulai was puzzled. Since little brother Lin Yu possesses an emperor's sword, he is naturally the successor of the Sword Emperor. No. Dao Master Songling shook his head. I remember that the Emperor Zither is also in your hands. When they heard the 2 words Emperor Zither, not only Gui Rulai, even Di Shi and Little Buddha cast envious gazes over. Others might not know, but the 2 of them had seen with their own eyes that Lin Yu was wearing the Emperor's armor and wielding the divine spear, which was a combination of 8 Emperor's treasures. It was also because Lin Yu was wearing the Emperor's armor that his speed and defense had reached a terrifying level that he could deal with Ghost Emperor Tsang Yuan like a moving bomb. Although the Heaven's punishment should not be able to kill Ghost Emperor Tsang Yuan, it could at least prevent him from recovering to his prime for 100 years. Ancestor, we have underestimated Brother Lin's ability. Little Buddha smiled helplessly. Everyone in the glazed moon treading tower also felt that these few people were extraordinary. Little Buddha was from the younger generation who was equally famous as Di Shi, but he actually called the middle-aged man beside him his ancestor? Although a cultivator's age could not be measured by their appearance, they could vaguely guess who it was that could make Little Buddha call him his ancestor. Perhaps there was only one person, Dao Jun Gui Rulai. Thinking of this, Lu Yanqing and the 10 great sovereigns' minds buzzed. Lin Yu had broken through to Heavenly Sovereign directly. The legendary figure, Shaoxan Buddha, Gui Rulai, had appeared. Dao Master Songling had personally come. The strongest younger generation in Heaven Desert, Di Shi and Little Buddha, were chatting happily with Lin Yu. What exactly happened today? At the same time, Dao Jun looked at Lin Yu and Little Buddha in astonishment. What do you mean? Lin Yu had to explain. I am from Fang Yi Dao world and have obtained 9 emperor treasures. I am here to reorganize Fang Yi Dao world. Obtained 9 emperor treasures. Just these words alone were enough to make everyone gasp in shock. So you are not only the successor of the Zither Emperor, but also the successor of the Sword Emperor, Azura Emperor, Demon Emperor, and Tong Emperor. Back then, the 8 great emperors severed the connection between the Emperor Wheel and the Ghost Emperor and sealed the 9 emperor treasures in Fang Yi Dao world. Now that the 8 great emperors have fallen and the 9 emperor treasures have appeared in your hands, Lin Yu, you are Dao Master Fang Yi. Dao Master Songling and Gui Rulai said one after another. Dao Master Fang Yi is someone else. Lin Yu does not overstep his authority. With a faint smile, Lin Yu thought that there were no benefits to being a Dao Master. He was just asking for trouble. Someone else? The 2 Dao Masters looked at each other. However, Lin Yu knew that now was not the time to talk about this. After nodding casually, he came to Lu Yanqing. I am taking that mirror away. As soon as he said that, Lu Yanqing and the others tensed up. Where is Master going? Fang Yi Dao World. Rumor has it that Fang Yi Dao World is only left with a starry sky in ruins. Lu Yanqing did not understand. There were no people there and no resources. Why did Lin Yu want to go back? She had some selfish motives at the moment and said, Master, why don't you stay in the glazed moon treading building? There is chaos outside. This is the safest place now. Lin Yu smiled faintly and patted her shoulder. The people of Fang Yi Dao World are still around. As long as they are around, even if it is still in ruins, it can be rebuilt. He glanced at Gui Rulai. Senior Saber Lord, when do you plan to find Limitless Dao Master Li Sangtian and Dao Master Yu Su to settle the score? As soon as he said that, Saber Lord Gui Rulai spat out a mouthful of blood. Sigh. You are deliberately infuriating me. After he had escaped, he had experienced many battles and was seriously injured. He was only holding on with his willpower. Now that Lin Yu had mentioned revenge, wasn't this a blow to him? Ancestor. Little Master supported Saber Lord worriedly. Lin Yu chuckled. Saber Lord, how can you heal if you don't vent your anger? His tone was much more solemn. There are many things waiting to be done in Fang Yi Dao World. If you don't mind, why don't you stay in Fang Yi Dao World as a VIP? Gui Rulai calmed down and said with a smile, Are you inviting a VIP? Are you looking for a guard to protect Fang Yi Dao World for you? Senior, you are smart. Lin Yu praised him, but these words came from a junior. Gui Rulai's expression turned even uglier. Forget it. I am indebted to you, so I agree. Saber Seal is Saber Seal. Lin Yu nodded and smiled. He had achieved his goal of saving Gui Rulai. He looked at Little Master. Limitless Dao Master will not let the people from Murderous Heart haul off. Little Master, do you want to save them? Chapter 665. Brother Lin, do you have a solution? I was prepared to bid farewell to you and rush back to fight the Endless Dao Master. Lin Yu nodded with a smile. Since you've asked Senior Dao Jun to stay, you naturally have to invite the rest of the people from Killing Heart Palace. Then, Lin Yu knew that there was not much time, so he asked Lu Yanqing and the rest to prepare the ink, paper, and ink stone. Dao Master Tsang Ling, Gui Rulai, Little Buddha, and Di Shi all looked over, wanting to know what Lin Yu had in mind. Here, here, and here. Lin Yu quickly drew on the paper. Little Buddha was extremely smart and could immediately tell that this was the route between the Fang Yi Dao World and the Endless Dao World's Killing Heart Palace. However, these routes were intermittent, and some distances were tens of millions of miles apart. How could they arrive instantly? There's a hidden teleportation array at each of these positions that can allow you to teleport to the next place. After Lin Yu said that, he sent a voice transmission to Little Buddha and told him how to lure out the teleportation array. Then, he continued, according to this route, we should be able to avoid the people from the Endless Dao Master and rescue the people from Killing Heart Palace. That's right. This route can at least allow them to leave the Endless Dao World safely. Brother Lin, have you been to the Endless Dao World before? Little Buddha could not help but ask in surprise. I've been there a few times. Lin Yu nodded casually and said, if they're willing to leave, bring them to the Fang Yi Dao World and we'll meet there. He did not force the others, so he said again, however, everyone has their own aspirations. The Fang Yi Dao World has been sealed for a long time, so I reckon it's not very attractive to them. Therefore, I won't force them. If they come, we'll naturally welcome them. If they don't, we won't force them either. Lin Yu put away the route map and handed it to Little Buddha. Then, he cupped his fists at the two of them and said, Senior Dao Jun, can you go with Little Buddha to resolve this matter? I just agreed to be your guard, Gui Rulai said. Then, he shook his head and smiled. Forget it. You know how to conduct yourself better than me. He clasped his hands together towards Lin Yu and said, This old man understands little brother Lin's intentions. We will leave quickly and return quickly. Lin Yu nodded. Gui Rulai had already left with little Buddha. Since you are fine, I will return to the Tsangling Dao world first. The hunchbacked old woman smiled warmly. 10 Great Supremes protect Envoy Lin well. Thank you. When Lin Yu saw that Taoist Master Tsang Ling did not bring the 10 Great Supremes away, he could not help but nod his head in gratitude. Di Shi and the 10 Paragons stayed behind with Lin Yu. Number 7 couldn't help but laugh. The current Lord Envoy, even if we work together, we might not be able to defeat him. Sigh, comparisons are odious. For an emissary to be able to sit on the same level as a Tao Lord, you should know that he's different from us. The 10 Great Supremes looked at Lin Yu in admiration. Previously, they felt that Di Shi and Little Buddha were the undisputed number 1 in the younger generation. But now, although Lin Yu was only a heavenly supreme now, the pressure he gave them was no less than Di Shi and Little Buddha. They could be sure that Lin Yu's supreme realm seemed to be extremely different from theirs. In addition to Lin Yu's strategy just now, this person was not only a talented cultivator, but also a natural leader. You all go and rest first. I will go and get something. We will set off in a while. Lin Yu instructed and went to the sky reflecting mirror alone. Tang Xian and Han Wanqing saw this and came forward. They also felt the strength of Lin Yu's aura. Compared to the last time they met, there was a tremendous change, especially since they had cultivated the law of harmony with Lin Yu and still had a few strands of Lin Yu's yang energy in their bodies. The difference between yang energy and yin energy was even more intense. When the two saw Lin Yu return, their faces were filled with joy. However, Lin Yu did not have much time to be affectionate with the two girls. Enter the mirror first. I will bring you back to the Tao world. When Lin Yu said the last 5 words, there was no change in his emotions. But in the hearts of the two girls, it was like a warm sun shooting into a cold ice house. Can we still go home? Han Wanqing's eyes were filled with tears, and so was Tang Xian. They had lived in an unfamiliar world inside the sky reflecting mirror for a period of time. When they came out, the outside world was just as foreign to them as it was to them. But sadly, their real home, the Tao world, had been destroyed by the Ghost Emperor back then. In the past, even if their home had been destroyed, they did not dare to take it back. But now, Lin Yu told them that they could go home. Yes. The deep voice of an emperor was heard. Lin Yu nodded, and the two girls cried tears of joy. They could not help but pounce on Lin Yu and hug him. Lin Yu's tyrannical strength at this moment gave them incomparable confidence. As long as the people of the Tao world were strong enough, they could go home. Lin Yu comforted the two girls and let them enter the sky reflecting mirror world first. His spiritual force spread out and instantly descended into the world. At this moment, there was indeed a battle happening inside the sky reflecting mirror world. So what if Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva imparted his techniques to you? The Tang Emperor faction has always been a lone wolf. Why should we care about the Ghost faction and the Loki faction? However, the Loki faction was just a third-rate faction a year ago. Even though it has grown 100 times bigger now, the Emperor faction is not something you can easily subdue. That's right. The Emperor faction is still the Emperor faction. The Tang Emperor faction has the ability to dominate a region. Why should we lower our heads to you? In front of the Tang Emperor faction's army, Li Jun stood with her hands behind her back. Her aura was somewhat unstable. She had already unified the 7 great Emperor factions. Even the remnants of Celestial Emperor Xiao had joined the Loki faction. Now, only the Tang Emperor faction was left. After the Tang Emperor faction took the lead, there were still many other voices among the 7 great Emperor factions, even though the emperors had already decided to merge. Li Jun's skills and identity were enough to lead them. However, she lacked a little courage. A leader without courage could temporarily lead these people, but after a long time, the army's morale would still be unstable. If only that person was here. Emperor Tong dared to beat around the bush with us for so long because Lin Yu is not here. However, Lin Yu's intention is to unify the Tao world. Only then can we truly establish ourselves in the Sky Desert universe. The Zither Empress and Qing Qing spoke one after another. The latter, in particular, had already become a famous female military god. Qing Qing could be said to have contributed a lot in mobilizing troops and fighting in all directions in the sky reflecting Mirror World. Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, if it really doesn't work, we can only use force, Qing said helplessly. Qing said helplessly. Little Mimi also frowned. She had gone out to see the outside world and naturally understood how strong the other 9 realms of the Sky Desert were. If they did not unite now, when would they be able to return home? Force. Li Jun's gaze was deep. That man had said that force could be used when necessary. Chapter 666. Then I'll start the battle. Qing saluted. Since Lady Glass had agreed, there was no need to hesitate. Zither Emperor Clan, take the east. Shura Emperor Clan, take the south. Sword Emperor Clan, take the north. Ghost Clan, take the west. Qing commanded the 4 armies and said coldly, "Attack Tong Emperor Clan." Emperor, what should we do? The battle was imminent. Everyone in Tong Emperor Clan was trembling with fear. Damn it. Qing, that B*TCH, actually dared to attack us. That B*TCH is very powerful now. We can't afford to offend her. Fight if you can't afford to offend her. Emperor Tong said angrily from his seat, "How many people do we have now?" The general immediately replied, "Including those who didn't accept Lady Glass's rule and came to join us, we have a total of more than 35,682,400 people. Very good. Tong Emperor Clan has recruited these people. We are much stronger than we were in Fong Yi Dao world. There is no need to bow and scrape under those 2 B***cheese. Men, give the order to fight." "Yes." Emperor Tong sneered. Now that he was more powerful than before, how could he, who was already ambitious, surrender? After this battle, Emperor Tong's prestige will probably be even higher, right? Of course. Emperor Tong laughed, but the next moment, his expression changed drastically. Who's talking? As soon as he finished speaking, a figure was already sitting in front of him. This person stood on the table in front of the dragon throne in the Imperial Master Palace with his hands behind his back, looking down. He wasn't corporeal, just a divine thought. However, with just a divine thought, Emperor Tong, who was about to stand up, couldn't move at all, as if time and space had frozen. "You are Lin Yu." A trembling voice was heard. It wasn't just Emperor Tong's voice that was trembling, but his body as well. Even though Lin Yu was just a divine thought, he didn't even have the courage to attack. "Do you know what to do now?" A calm voice was heard. Lin Yu's gaze met his. Emperor Tong felt as if he had fallen into an ice cave, and the hair on his back stood up. The entire world was extremely cold under this gaze. I know. He trembled and forced out a sentence. The figure on the table nodded casually. "There won't be a second time." After that, Lin Yu's spiritual sense had already disappeared from the monarch palace. Emperor Tong had regained his freedom, but his entire body was limp on the dragon throne. "No second time? What do you mean?" His eyes darted around. Did that mean that Lin Yu wouldn't come a second time, or that he wouldn't have a second chance? At the thought of this, Emperor Tong wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and stepped into the air. At this moment, the 2 armies were already facing each other. On the Tong Emperor sect's side, more than 35 million people were gathered in the central area. They had already given up on the south, north, and west, and were preparing to fight against the Zither Emperor sect in the east. Ching Ching, you bitch! Come and fight us yourself if you dare! That's right. If you dare to fight, I'll show you what a real man's dignity is. Tong Emperor's gate continued to clamor. In the low-key sex camp, Ching Ching heaved a sigh of relief. I'll count to 3. If you don't surrender, I'll kill you. Bullsh *T. Let's see how you're going to kill us with 35 million people. That's right. Anyway, the Tao world is already gone. We'd rather die than hide here. No, big brother. I have to enjoy a few beauties from the low-key sect before I die. Ching Ching, who was sitting in the seat of honor, couldn't be bothered with these people. Her cold voice sounded. 3. As she spoke, she had already raised her hand. Continue counting. Army, get ready. We'll fight to the death with the low-key sect. 2. The people from Tong Emperor's sect were eager to give it a try. They looked like they were ready to fight to the death. As for Ching Ching, she was ready to put down her hand and lead the army into battle. Wait. Stop counting. Suddenly, a figure hadn't arrived, but the voice had already appeared in front of Tong Emperor's sect. Don't worry, Emperor Tong. They won't be able to break in. The leading general snickered. However, in the next moment, everyone heard the sound of a slap that resounded throughout the entire arena. Emperor Yu! The general covered his face tightly. He couldn't understand why Emperor Tong suddenly slapped him. I asked you to lead Tong Emperor's sect to surrender to the low-key sect. How dare you fake an imperial edict? Emperor Tong said all of a sudden. This made the general who was beaten up even more confused. Emperor, I didn't fake, smack. Emperor Tong slapped him again. He looked terrified, afraid that the general would say something dangerous again. Deceiving the public with your lies. You deserve to be slapped. Emperor. The general's life was turned upside down. A moment ago, he was still so majestic. How did he end up like this? Moreover, he didn't even know what he had done wrong. Emperor, please listen to my explanation. The general spat out a mouthful of blood and retreated. Emperor Tong looked around, afraid that Lin Yu's divine consciousness was still watching them and wasn't satisfied with his confession. Thinking of this, he kicked the general again. The general flew back dozens of feet and fainted. He couldn't say anything else. That's good. Don't worry. Emperor Tong heaved a sigh of relief. He turned and bowed in the direction of the low-key sect. We're willing to surrender. We're willing to surrender. What's going on? Ching Ching, Zither Empress, Li Jun, Qin Ji, and the others were also stunned for a long time. Wasn't this scene changing too quickly? Emperor Tong, have you thought it through? Ching Ching asked again, afraid that this was a trap. Yes, I've thought it through. With that, Emperor Tong threw the commander's seal over. Let's go to the low-key sect together. We're all from the Square Tao world. Naturally, we should be united. Emperor Tong said loudly, as long as we're united, we'll definitely return to the Square Tao world under the leadership of Lord Lin Yu. Don't you think so? The opposing army suddenly became their own people. Lady Li and the others didn't understand at first. However, when they heard Lin Yu's name, they instantly understood. Did that man do something in the dark? Ching Ching thought. Sect Master is back? Lady Qin and the others were overjoyed. However, after waiting for a long time, Lin Yu still didn't appear. Even though the Square Tao world was united, Lin Yu still didn't appear. Sect Master. He must be back. Otherwise, Emperor Tong wouldn't be so afraid. Only Sect Master can change Emperor Tong's attitude so drastically. Outside the heaven-reflecting mirror, Lin Yu stood with his hands behind his back. He had already retracted his spiritual force. Similarly, Lin Yu raised his hand. Old friend, the 9-colored fire is no longer of much use to you. Let's go. I'll bring you to find the golden crow fire. With that, the heaven-reflecting mirror flew into his hand. At that moment, Lu Yanqing was already waiting behind Lin Yu obediently. Master, I want to go with you. Chapter 667. Lu Yanqing's mature and charming face was blushing. She lowered her head and her hair fell on her temples. She spoke slowly. Lin Yu could tell that Lu Yanqing's voice was trembling. She wasn't confident when she said that. Lin Yu kept the sky-reflecting mirror slowly. The sky-reflecting mirror shrunk to the size of a palm. It was a pity that this item could not be put into the storage ring because it represented a small world. Lin Yu held it in his arms and turned around. You are now the owner of the glazed moon-stepping tower. As Lin Yu spoke, he walked toward her step by step. The dripping sound of every step seemed to be hastening Lu Yanqing's breathing. But I am also Master's disciple. Lu Yanqing struggled to refute. Naturally, Lin Yu could tell what she was thinking. Although Lu Yanqing was a few years older than him in terms of appearance, among cultivators, love would not be affected by age. It was a pity that he was a man without love. Are you willing to give up the glazed moon-stepping tower for Master's sake? Lin Yu spoke again. Lu Yanqing's breathing quickened. She understood what Lin Yu meant. If she only treated Lin Yu as her master, she would not make such a big sacrifice. Unless there were other emotions involved in this. Master, there are too many women who like you. I only want to be by your side. As for other things, I don't dare to ask for more. Her obedient look was a contrast to her capable and experienced appearance. It was only then that Lin Yu remembered that this woman had been hurt by a man when she first fell in love. Since then, her love world was blank. This might be the second time she took the initiative to get close to a man. Aren't you afraid that I will be like another person? Lin Yu smiled. He was referring to Lu Yanqing's first love, the man who died in the hands of Jiang Qingying. I'm not afraid. Lu Yanqing shook her head and looked firmly at Lin Yu. Because this time, I took the initiative to stay by my master's side. She did not say much, but Lin Yu could tell that it was that man who had taken the initiative to pursue Lu Yanqing. Could it be that he was someone Jiang Qingying had hired from the very beginning? If that was the case, then the matter of Jiang Qingying sowing discord between them was even more reasonable. I can take you with me. Lin Yu smiled. Under Lu Yanqing's joyful gaze, he spoke again. I'm going to look for Jiang Qingying. You can make some preparations and see who is willing to come with you. All right. Lu Yanqing nodded excitedly. She turned around and prepared to leave. On the other side, Lin Yu arrived at the lower level of the prison. At this moment, Jiang Qingying was curled up alone in the cell. As for Jinlian and Men Qing, they were making love in another cell. Cough. Lin Yu coughed dryly. The three of them felt their hearts tighten at the same time. They stopped what they were doing and looked over. Young Master Qin. The three of them were astonished. Why had they not noticed Lin Yu's appearance earlier? Ma Ting took a closer look at Lin Yu. Heavenly sovereign. Jinlian and Jiang Qingying were equally astonished. Congratulations, young master. Congratulations on your great fortune. Ma Ting immediately knelt down to congratulate Qin Yun. To him, kneeling down to Lin Yu seemed to have become a habit. Ma Ting even felt that he was able to survive today, have Jinlian by his side, and angered Jiang Qingying. His life was even happier than before. Call me Lin Yu said casually. Then, he took a step forward and unlocked the chains of the cell. He had only touched it lightly. To his surprise, the 10,000-year-old iron chains on the three of them broke. Lin Yu. Ma Ting and the other two gasped. They wiped their eyes and saw Lin Yu, who had regained his true appearance. The person Dao Master Tsang Yuan wants to capture? The young Master Lin Yu on the Dao World's wanted list. Ma Ting and Jinlian asked one after the other. Lin Yu nodded casually and glanced at the chains on the ground. I should set you free. In reality, the 10 Great Supremes had already reported the situation of these 3 people, so Lin Yu knew that Jiang Qingying and the others were still here. He purposely asked one more time so that he could take in these 3 people. Qin. No, young Master Lin, we won't leave. Ma Ting was so excited that he knelt down again. Young Master Lin, I owe you a great debt of gratitude. You brought Jinlian back to my side and helped me get rid of my love rival from Linwu University. I have nothing to repay you with, so I've decided to follow you for the rest of my life. I'm Lin Yu, not Qin Wunyan. Aren't you afraid of Dao Master Tsang Yuan? When Lin Yu finished speaking, Ma Ting's body trembled. The vast abyss Dao Master issued a warrant for your arrest, but you still schemed against the Tianhun sect and the 7 Fiends Hall of the Netherworld. With such ability, even the vast abyss Dao Master may not be a match for you. That makes sense. It seems like you're not stupid, Ma Menqing. Lin Yu smiled. Ma Ting also smiled. You must be joking, young master. You don't have to use that stage name. Just call me Ma Ting. Up to you. Lin Yu nodded and said, If I'm not in the glazed moon treading tower, would you still be willing to stay? This, Ma Ting and Jinlian looked at each other. They would be homeless if they stayed there. The glazed moon treading tower was heavily guarded, so it was the best place to stay. Where are you going, young master? Jiang Qingying, who had been silent all this while, spoke. I thought that after Lu Yanqing became the tower master, you would continue to control the glazed moon treading tower behind the scenes. Upon hearing that, Lin Yu smiled. I plan to rebuild a Dao world. Lu Yanqing will follow me. The 3 of them were shocked when they heard that. What the hell did he mean by rebuilding a Dao world? The young man in front of them was actually so ambitious to become a Dao master? You must be joking, young master. Jiang Qingying shook her head and smiled bitterly. It's easier said than done to build a Dao world. It requires at least a great emperor-level expert to hold down the fort, a large number of disciples, resources, and a Dao world domain. Before she could finish her sentence, Lin Yu interrupted her. I already have all of these. The seemingly casual words caused the 3 of them to breathe faster again. Achieving all 3 of these conditions was harder than ascending to heaven. However, Lin Yu had actually achieved all 3 of them? Lin Yu could see that the 3 of them were doubtful and shocked, but he did not explain further. He only asked straightforwardly, Those who are going to the new Dao world with me now are veterans who have contributed greatly to the opening of the Dao world. I will not mistreat them in the future. Of course, the choice is in your hands. With that, Lin Yu left the heavenly prison, leaving the 3 heavenly sovereigns to ponder over their next move. Lin Yu, who had left the sky prison, did not appear outside the glazed moon treading tower. Instead, he entered the teleportation formation and headed to another place, the Tianhun sect. Chapter 668. Within the Tianhun sect, Emo Xianxian was taking care of all the matters after she became the sect master. Ever since Lin Wudo was possessed by the 10,000 Beast War Emperor, she naturally became the best candidate for the position of sect master with the Soul Talisman. Without Madame Golden Lotus to fight for the position, Emo Xianxian's ascension was unexpectedly smooth. In less than a month's time, Emo Xianxian had become the second disciple of Ling Chongfeng, who was always trembling in fear and bowing to him. She had become the most powerful and supreme sect master of the Tianhun sect. However, even the current Emo Xianxian, there was still a trace of worry on her pretty face. After making a decision regarding the cultivation of the disciples, Emo Xianxian was the only one left in the sect master's hall. At this moment, she let out a long sigh, as if she had finally revealed her true feelings. Only to hear Emo Xianxian mumbling to herself, "Young master, have you reached the level of Hongyuan?" She didn't forget that everything she had today was thanks to Lin Yu's grace. From getting rid of Ling Chongfeng, to subduing Madame Golden Lotus, to obtaining the Soul Talisman and killing Lin Wuda. In the end, Lin Yu even took Madame Golden Lotus with him, the only person she was afraid of. You have a greater goal, so nothing here can stop you at all. Emo Xianxian was still muttering to herself. When Lin Yu was about to leave, she almost tried to persuade him to stay. Emo Xianxian didn't mind sharing the world with Lin Yu. However, before she could say anything, Lin Yu had already left the Tianhun sect. You left in such a hurry, as if you were afraid that I would persuade you to stay. You think too highly of yourself. I won't persuade a man who has an ambiguous relationship with so many girls to stay. After saying this, Emo Xianxian immediately shook her head and slapped her mouth. Emo Xianxian, what's wrong with you? Your dream is to achieve great things. As for men, you can have anything you want in the future. Why do you have to worry about someone who is destined to have no future? But after he left, the sound of bells and thunder came from the starry sky. Bad guy, don't let anything happen to you, however. Before he finished speaking, a teleportation cyclone suddenly appeared in the hall. Emo Xianxian's heart was filled with vigilance as she circulated her half-step heavenly sovereign cultivation. Based on her past experience, she knew that this person who came out of nowhere definitely didn't have good intentions. However, after Emo Xianxian unleashed her attack, she was able to clearly see a figure that she had been thinking about day and night walking out from the vortex. Young master! Emo Xianxian drew in a breath of cold air. It was already too late for her to stop her attack. According to the difference in their cultivation levels, Lin Yu would definitely be injured. Young master, be careful. Emo Xianxian gritted his teeth as he forcefully retracted his palm. The palm strike that he had already unleashed was directly reflected back at him. Seeing that there was no way for her to dodge, Emo Xianxian could only close her eyes and place her hands in front of her to block the attack. But in the nick of time, Emo Xianxian only felt a strong arm wrap around her waist. She didn't feel any pain from the rebound of the attack. It's not good to attack me as soon as we meet. Lin Yu's gentle voice sounded. Emo Xianxian's breathing quickened. When she opened her eyes, she saw that the young man's angular face was only a hand's distance away from her. She blinked her eyes and looked in the direction of her attack. Why did her palm strike disappear into thin air? That palm strike contained 4 strands of Supreme Being's intent. Why did it disappear so strangely? Young master, your cultivation level is so strong. Emo Xianxian was in Lin Yu's embrace. She calmed down her mind and felt even more shocked, because she could clearly feel that Lin Yu's aura was actually much stronger than hers. It was the feeling of her Supreme Being's intent being suppressed. However, she was at the peak of the Earth Supreme Being, half a step into the Heavenly Supreme Being realm. If he could suppress her Supreme Being's intent, didn't that mean that Lin Yu was a true Heavenly Supreme Being? However, Emo Xianxian still remembered that the last time they met, Lin Yu was only at the 2nd level of the Law Realm. In the blink of an eye, how could his cultivation level have such a terrifying increase? I'm so lucky. I broke through a few times, Lin Yu casually explained. He had always been low-key and didn't like to show off in front of women. However, how could Emo Xianxian believe his nonsense? After struggling for a while, Emo Xianxian pushed Lin Yu away and tidied up her slightly messy clothes. No need to tidy up, it's going to be messy again. The little beauty in front of him had become the sect leader of the Tianhun sect. Her temperament seemed to be better than before. The high and mighty woman in the hearts of the Tianhun sect's disciples caused Lin Yu's interest to be aroused. He grabbed Emo Xianxian's hand and pulled it in front of him. After a moment of tenderness, he pressed it down again. Young master. Woo. 6 hours later, Emo Xianxian took a few deep breaths and looked at Lin Yu with resentment. Do you want to suffocate me to death? At the last moment, even breathing was difficult for her. Sitting on the sect leader's golden chair, Lin Yu grabbed Emo Xianxian's thin and delicate chin. I came to find you for a matter. Humph. Emo Xianxian turned her face away. She didn't want to look at Lin Yu, but in her heart, she had already looked at him countless times. Young master, aren't you done? It's not about that. Lin Yu smiled awkwardly. I left in a hurry last time because I had an urgent matter. This time, I came to ask you a question. Seeing that Lin Yu, a man who was surrounded by countless people, was actually explaining to her, Mo Xianxian couldn't vent her anger no matter how big she was. She sat beside Lin Yu's feet and leaned on his body. She maintained the posture of the previous 6 hours and obediently said, "Young master, please ask." Lin Yu's expression was serious. "I want to create a Tao realm that is on equal footing with the 9 worlds. Are you willing to follow me? Create a Tao realm. Be on equal footing with the 9 worlds. Young master, are you serious?" Mo Xianxian knew from the start that Lin Yu's ambition was even greater than hers. But she didn't expect that Lin Yu actually wanted to create a Tao realm of his own. The 9 Tao sovereigns are extremely powerful, and we are also people in Tao sovereign Yusu's domain. I'm afraid, Mo Xianxian wanted to say something but hesitated. Even if she was an ordinary woman, she would have to think about it, let alone now that she was the leader of a sect. There were even more things she had to consider. "It's fine, I'm just here to ask." Seeing Mo Xianxian's difficult reaction, Lin Yu was already mentally prepared. He didn't feel disappointed at all. He took the time to come here. Now, he didn't want to stay any longer. He stood up and prepared to leave. Mo Xianxian was still leaning on his feet. "Young master, I can't bear to part with you. I don't have much time left. I can only stop here for now." Lin Yu stroked Mo Xianxian's beautiful hair. "The human race and the abyss of despair are about to start a war. If you can avoid it, try your best to avoid it. This war is a personal grudge between Bai Luo and the Myriad Beast War Emperor. Don't make unnecessary sacrifices," Lin Yu reminded her. "Then," he said, "tomorrow I will leave for the new Tao realm from the glazed moon treading tower. Farewell." Before Mo Xianxian could reply, Lin Yu had already disappeared from the sect leader's palace. "Scoundrel! What do you take me for?" Smelling the familiar scent on the side of her mouth, Mo Xianxian slapped the ground. "Don't even think about leaving me like this, men." Chapter 669. Lin Yu had no time to care about what happened after the Tianhun sect. When the teleportation array of the glazed moon stepping tower was activated again, Lin Yu appeared at the entrance of the sky prison. "Master." The female disciple bowed, thinking that Lin Yu had just come out from the sky prison. Perhaps he was still wondering in his heart what kind of words could be spoken for as long as 6 hours. "How are the preparations for Lu Yanqing's matter?" Lin Yu asked. According to his understanding, with Lu Yanqing's personality, she should have told these female disciples to give him an explanation. "The tower master said to invite you to the main hall for a chat after you come out." As expected, the female disciple in the lead reported. Lin Yu nodded. Under the lead of the female disciple, he arrived at the main hall of the tower master. At this moment, Lu Yanqing had been waiting for a long time. When she saw Lin Yu, she immediately stood up and walked down from the tower master's throne to welcome him. "Master! Everything is ready. Our warship can set off at any time." Lu Yanqing continued, "This time, everyone from the glazed moon stepping tower is leaving with me." "So many?" Lin Yu raised his eyebrows. "Master, are you looking down on us?" Lu Yanqing's heart tightened. She knew that if everyone left, the speed of the warship would slow down. With the increase in other matters, there might be other troubles. For example, Taoist Master Yusu would be suspicious. "The more, the better." Lin Yu smiled. It was naturally good to have more people. As for other problems, they would definitely extend. However, he didn't mind. If he was worried about too many disciples and people joining him, he wouldn't be qualified to be a leader. Everyone is already making preparations. Considering the time, we should be able to set off tomorrow, Lu Yanqing said again. Lin Yu nodded. This was the time that he had expected. Lin Yu left the remaining matters to Lu Yanqing. After leaving the main hall, Lin Yu looked at the busy people of the Glazed Moon Stepping Tower. The 10 Supremes had also joined in the process of moving the Glory Bot. The countless Glory Bot in the Glazed Moon Treading Tower were being counted one by one. There were also spirit artifacts, sage artifacts, cultivation techniques, and pills. In terms of battle prowess, the Heavenly Soul Sect was ranked first among the Jade Silk 3 great sects. However, in terms of wealth, no one could compete with the Glazed Moon Treading Tower. After all, under Jiang Qingying's accumulation of wealth back then, the resources here had reached a level that was more than the other sects in the Jade Silk world combined. Young master, are we leaving tomorrow? Behind Lin Yu was Zhang Qingxue. At this moment, Zhang Qingxue had changed into clean and simple clothes. She looked simple and natural, a far cry from the way she dressed in the vast Moon Empire. It was just that her figure was getting hotter and hotter. Even in such an ordinary outfit, Zhang Qingxue could still make other men's hearts flutter when they looked at her. However, Zhang Qingxue did not even want to look at those men. The only person she wanted to attract her attention was her master, Lin Yu. When we pass by the Zhongling Dao world, how about I order the 10 great masters to go back with you, how you? Lin Yu looked into the depths of the starry sky in the direction of the Feng Yi Dao world. Strictly speaking, that was not his home. It was just one of the worlds he had explored using the teleportation array on the day he had been trapped. This starry sky, the starry sky outside, and the worlds he had explored before. On that day, Lin Yu had felt that being the only person who had discovered the teleportation array was a benefit of his transmigration. It had been more than a year since he had been trapped. After thinking about it carefully, Lin Yu felt that these teleportation arrays were not simple. These teleportation arrays, which only he could see, were like a huge net that connected countless universes. This net was like the internet hidden in electronic devices when he had lived on Earth. However, it was obvious that the internet was just a virtual way to connect the world. However, the teleportation array of this world was really connected to the entire world. He could travel freely, just like how he had used the internet on Earth. The difference was that he could travel with his real body here. Who had created the teleportation array net? Lin Yu had thought that it was just a remnant of the teleportation array left behind from ancient times. However, after he had escaped, he felt that something was amiss. Why were there so many remnant teleportation arrays left behind from ancient times? Why could these teleportation arrays connect different worlds and universes? Why was he the only one who could discover and see these teleportation arrays, while others could not? Why had that woman, who was not affected by the space-time reset, said those strange words? Where had the small wooden house, which had been moving randomly, and the starting ground, which he had transmigrated to? Lin Yu sighed softly. He knew many people's secrets and had seen countless sceneries that others had never seen before. However, it was a pity that he didn't know anything about his own secret. Master, I want to go with you too. Zhang Qingxue caught up with Lin Yu from behind. She looked at Lin Yu stubbornly, grabbed his hand and said firmly, If Lu Yanqing can go with you, so can I. Zhang Qingxue naturally did not know what Lin Yu was thinking about when he was in a daze. The vast Moon King is still waiting for me to send you back. I didn't plan to bring you along this time. Lin Yu's calm words made Zhang Qingxue's eyes glisten with tears. Master, you don't like me anymore. Zhang Qingxue took a few steps back while sobbing. Why can Lu Yanqing do it, but I can't? Calm down. I still have to ask the vast Moon King if you can or not. Lin Yu spread out his hands. He had some experience in dealing with women crying. After all, among the millions of 8-point women he had interacted with, there were always a few who had used these tricks. However, the routine was the same. Not only was he familiar with these tricks, but he had also used many of them himself when he was fooling others. Seeing that Lin Yu was still unmoved, Zhang Qingxue wiped away her tears. Master, will you allow me to follow you if my father agrees? Yes. Lin Yu nodded. Zhang Qingxue pursed her lips. She swore in her heart that she must get the vast Moon King to agree. She was not willing to stay in that dynasty forever like a fool. During the time when she was out with Lin Yu, the Flower Appreciation Festival, the glazed moon stepping in changed owners, and so on. Now, there was the change in Jade Silk City and a group of big shots appeared. Zhang Qingxue felt that this was the life that she wanted. Lin Yu naturally did not waste time thinking about this girl's thoughts. After a full night's sleep, everyone in the glazed moon stepping in was ready to set off. Thousands of battleships appeared in the sky. They had reached the limit of the sky, as if they would charge into the starry sky at any time. Master, we are ready, Lu Yanqing reported. Before Lin Yu said anything, thousands of wind-breaking sounds came from the sky above the glazed moon stepping in. There were also more than 9,000 battleships in the sky. They seemed to have just entered the glazed moon stepping in's territory. At this moment, a familiar voice came from the largest battleship at the front. Mo Xian of the Tianhun sect is here to seek refuge. Chapter 670. The 9,000 battleships landed majestically, causing the clouds above the glazed moon-treading tower to tumble and disperse in a whirlpool shape. The female disciples looked up and could not help but feel nervous. Could it be an enemy attack? Did Tao Master Yu Su send someone over because she knows that we are leaving? War God Di Shur is still with us. Who did Tao Master Yu Su send? They saw the flag of the Heavenly Soul Sect. Mo Xian was standing on the frontmost battleship. Her gaze passed through the numerous battleships and disciples and landed on the young man standing in front of Lu Yanqing, who was tens of thousands of feet away. At this moment, the young man had completely transformed into Lin Yu. Compared to Qin Wunyan's identity, he was a wanted man in the Tao world that even the vast abyss Tao master could not deal with. This was more convincing. Lu Yanqing had made preparations in advance for Lin Yu to change back to his original appearance. Thus, these disciples understood that the person they were seeking refuge from was an extremely formidable figure. Mo Xian, who was in the sky, also understood completely at this moment. This fellow finally stopped pretending, she thought. Compared to using Qin Wunyan's name, if Qin Wunyan, who had an unknown origin, had used Lin Yu's name for the things he had done previously, it would have caused a huge commotion. The sudden change of ownership of the glazed moon treading tower, the Heavenly Soul Sect, and the Netherworld 7 Demons Hall could be explained clearly. A wanted man in the Tao world represented a person that even the Tao master wanted to capture alive, but could not do so. A person with such a status had the ability to plan everything behind the scenes. Am I not welcome? Mo Xian smiled faintly. Her alluring appearance made the female disciples of the glazed moon treading tower somewhat fearful. Such a peerless beauty, regardless of her cultivation, was extremely threatening to them just based on her appearance. Mo Xian walked over to Lin Yu alone. After leaving the battleship, she showed sufficient sincerity. Upon seeing this, Lu Yanqing took the initiative to let the female disciples open a path. She naturally remembered that after Jiang Qingying had been usurped, Mo Xian had met Lin Yu in private and stayed for more than 6 hours. A man and a woman alone for 6 hours, he. Lu Yanqing felt a burst of sour pleasure in her heart. She said softly to Lin Yu, "Master, be careful of any tricks." After arriving in front of Lin Yu, Mo Xianxian's expression was solemn as she repeatedly reminded herself. Even though she had already lowered her voice and pledged her allegiance to Lin Yu, Mo Xianxian's expression was extremely solemn. This was obviously a slap in the face for rejecting Lin Yu yesterday. But today, he couldn't appear too humble. She naturally knew that a woman who was too lowly would not be valued by a man. Since everyone is here, let's go, Lin Yu said emotionlessly. He didn't even look at Mo Xianxian. The latter could only follow behind Lin Yu. He lowered his head and cursed Lin Yu in his heart. However, after taking a few more steps, Mo Xianxian felt that Lin Yu's actions had actually alleviated some of her awkwardness. Sometimes, no matter what she said, it would be awkward, so she might as well not say anything. Wait, young Master Lin, I'm here. A voice suddenly sounded from behind them. It came from the direction of the prison. An old man walked out. This old man was dressed in plain clothes and had the demeanor of an immortal. He stroked his long beard. Lin Yu thought that Lu Youqi had come. When he took another look, it turned out that it was Ma Menqing who was pretending to be righteous again. I've heard that young Master Lin's plans for the world are extremely profound. Even Downlords can't do anything about it. Ma Menqing waved his hand, displaying his profound inner qualities. His actions were elegant, but he didn't have the demeanor of an expert. He continued, today, it's time for the Jade Silk world to change its inheritance. I'm Ma Ting, the former First Palace Master of the Seven Fiends Hall. I represent the Seven Fiends Hall to form an alliance with young Master. He bowed deeply to Lin Yu. He was full of sincerity. His previous words had skipped the matter of him selling 6 of his teammates in exchange for a chance to live. This made many female disciples of the Glazed Moon Stepping Tower and the Tianhun sect feel that this person was unfathomable. He's the first palace master of the Seven Fiends Hall. I didn't think that even the Seven Fiends Hall would come to seek refuge with young Master Lin. It seems like our decision was right. The 3 strongest sects of the Jade Silk world are all gathered here. Young Master Lin wants to empty the Jade Silk world. Lin Yu glanced at Ma Ting. Alliance? Ma Ting's heart tightened. He originally thought that Lin Yu wouldn't notice the 2 words, alliance, after saying so much. He was clearly thinking more than Mo Xianxian. Mo Xianxian was talking about seeking refuge with Lin Yu. Ma Ting was talking about an alliance. The former was with Lin Yu as the leader, while the latter was on equal footing. It's a slip of the tongue, a slip of the tongue. Ma Ting had just changed his clothes. At this moment, his back was drenched in sweat. He subconsciously stopped, stroking his beard. I'm here to seek refuge with young Master Lin. He was too careless. Ma Ting swallowed his saliva and scolded himself. Now, he had a trace of evil thoughts of provoking the Tai Sui. This time, he was about to fall into a situation of eternal damnation. Palace Master Ma, since you're so sincere, Lin Yu welcomes you. Ma Ting heaved a sigh of relief. Thank you. Thank you, young Master Lin. As soon as he finished speaking, Golden Lotus and Jiang Qingying appeared in the heavenly prison. The former's appearance made Mo Xianxian frown slightly. The latter's appearance made the hearts of all the women in the Glazed Moon Treading Tower tighten. Young Master Lin, this is my wife, Golden Lotus. She came with me today to seek refuge with young Master. Ma Ting immediately introduced her. Lin Yu's words were pleasing to the ear, but Mo Xianxian was so shocked that her jaw almost dropped. After Madame Golden Lotus left the Heavenly Soul sect, she had been fooling around with the Seven Fiends Hall Master. This, Mo Xianxian was sure that she had made the right decision to come today. All her doubts were solved. It turned out that Lin Yu was able to persuade Madame Golden Lotus to turn against the Heavenly Soul sect because of this adulterer. Golden Lotus greets young Master. Madame Golden Lotus naturally sensed the gazes of Mo Xianxian and the Heavenly Soul sect disciples. However, since she was able to reach her current level, she obviously wouldn't stop because of the shackles of the secular world. After bowing to Lin Yu, Jiang Qingying also bowed. The former Glazed Moon Treading Tower Master, Jiang Qingying, also came to seek refuge with young Master Lin. Jiang Qingying bowed to Lin Yu. The female disciples of the Glazed Moon Treading Tower sighed in their hearts. The high and mighty Glazed Moon Treading Tower Master was no longer as sharp as before. In other words, in front of the stronger Lin Yu, these people, no matter if it was Jiang Qingying or Ma Ting, could only restrain their sharpness. As for those people who showed off their sharpness, they might have already died in Lin Yu's hands. Very good. Let's go. Lin Yu casually nodded and stepped onto his warship. At this moment Di Shi, the 10 Supremes, and Zhang Qingxue were all waiting for him. Mo Xianxian, Lu Yanqing, Jiang Qingying, Ma Ting, and Madame Golden Lotus also followed and sat on the main warship. Lin Yu ordered, "Let's go." Chapter 671. Close to 20,000 battleships turned in the same direction and charged into the starry sky. This unprecedented scene caused the itinerant cultivators and merchant ships passing by the jade silk starry sky to tremble in fear. Is the battle of the Tao world about to start? The 3 major sects are collectively migrating. What happened? The momentum of the 20,000 battleships made them feel as though their minds were in a perilous situation. For a moment, their heartbeats quickened as they thought that the jade silk Tao world was about to change. At that moment, Yu Su, who was sitting on a fragment of the demon suppression bell, slowly opened his eyes. Gui Rulai Lin Yu Di Shi, when I recover to my peak state, I will definitely kill all of you. Clenching his teeth, Yu Su coughed. He had spent an entire day and night to heal the wounds he had suffered in the previous battle. Regardless of whether it was Gui Rulai, Di Shi, or Xiao Mingren, these 2 juniors, the few battles had caused him some internal injuries. Di Shi, I can kill your parents. I can also kill you. Yu Su's eyes were filled with killing intent. He had been about to obtain the 5th step of the 7 steps of sky trampling from Di Shi, but he had not expected to fail because of Lin Yu. Moreover, he had been injured by Gui Rulai. Otherwise, even if Di Shi and Xiao Mingren had joined forces, they would definitely not have been his match. However, the 2 of them had attacked ruthlessly. Yu Su Fist was afraid of the young and could only avoid their attacks. Now that he thought about it, he, a dignified Tao master, could not hide the grievance in his heart. And that Lin Yu, he actually won against me on the chessboard. He can actually win against me. Just in case, I did not open a new chessboard. Instead, I used Gui Rulai's endgame to fight against him. However, that fellow is simply like a demon. Impossible. I have been unhindered in my life. When have I suffered such humiliation? Yu Su's eyes turned even redder. When he thought of Lin Yu, his hatred seemed to be even deeper than everyone else's. Because of him, he had lost the chessboard and the world like a game of chess. 3 Supremes, listen up. Send an order to all the sects in the Jade Silk Tao world to mobilize the entire human race and prepare to fight against the Despair Abyss. Tao Lord Jade Silk sent out a voice transmission, commanding the 3 great sections. On Lin Yu's warship, Ma Ting and Jiang Qingying's faces twitched as they silently cut off Tao Lord Yu Su's voice. How dare you! On the Devil Suppression Bell fragment, Tao Lord Jade Silk suddenly stood up. Daring to interrupt this old man's sound transmission, these 2 people are actually so audacious. As for Linwu University, they were unable to receive voice transmissions. Something's wrong, something's wrong. The next moment Yu Su suddenly felt a sense of danger. While she had been recuperating for a day and night, something had happened to her Jade Su Dao world. Immediately, Tao Master Yu Su looked at the starry sky near the edge of the Tao world. Her spiritual force was connected to the will of the starry sky and traversed an endless distance. Very soon, she sensed the mighty scene of 20,000 battleships leaving. Damn you, Tianhun sect! Glazed Moon Treading Tower! The 7 Fiends Hall of the Netherworld. Yu Su's figure vanished. She rushed towards the edge of the starry skies like a mad woman. Now, he could be sure that not only was there a problem in his territory, there was a huge problem. On Lin Yu's warship, Ma Ting and Jiang Qingying looked at each other and nodded at the same time. Young Master Lin, we might be in some trouble. Jiang Qingying took the lead and explained about Daolord Jade Silk's sound transmission. Ma Ting also looked flustered. Young Master Lin, we won't be killed by the Daolord, right? Lin Yu smiled. Seems like Palace Master Ma isn't mentally prepared? Of course not. I will definitely advance and retreat together with young Master Lin. No one can stop us. Ma Ting immediately said to show his loyalty. He was afraid that Lin Yu would kick him out of the team now. He didn't say anything else. Instead, he looked at the army around him. There were 20,000 battleships and more than 50 million disciples. How could the Daolord destroy them all alone? Don't panic. Don't panic. Ma Ting calmed himself down. As for the others, they were waiting for Lin Yu's orders. Brother Lin, with his speed, he should be here soon. Di Shi reminded. He understood Daolord Jade Silk. It's okay. Lin Yu looked at his own hands. Now, he also wanted to know how strong he was after achieving the perfect 5 elements supremacy realm. Those below heavenly supremacy, retreat for now and stabilize the morale of the army. Lin Yu ordered. Mo Xian Xian and the rest pursed their lip. They suddenly felt a sense of danger. They went to arrange the formation with Lu Yanqing. As for the heavenly supremacy and balanced supremacy, they were making preparations. The starry sky suddenly changed. At the front of the battleship, the disciples hid in the cabins. They also saw the starry sky gradually distorting. A figure slowly walked out from the distorted space. It was an old man. However, he didn't have the kindness that an old man should have. Instead, he was filled with endless killing intent. At this moment, Yu Su looked down at the battleship below. This was the foundation of his Jade Silk Dao world for 10,000 years. Now, more than half of it was gone. They were about to leave the Jade Silk Dao world. Whoever dares to leave, I will kill without mercy. Yu Su's voice was like thunder, spreading in all directions. Those disciples below the Grand Supreme Realm were already in a daze when they heard Yu Su's voice. Many disciples sat down cross-legged to recuperate. As for the others, they were full of vigilance and automatically circulated the glory energy in their bodies. They were also fearful when facing this terrifying Daolord Jade Silk. Some people even started to waver. Once Daolord Jade Silk was a threat, they might just surrender. Lin Yu, you actually returned to my side? Yu Su's gaze fell on the leading battleship. He saw a face that made him burn with anger. Song Yuan can't touch you, but it doesn't mean that I can't. Yu Su sneered. He then looked at Di Shi, who was beside Lin Yu. My beloved disciple, obediently write out the last 3 steps of the 7 steps of sky trampling. Then I can let you go. Yu Su was overjoyed. He couldn't hide his greed. Now, he didn't need to hide anything. Brother Lin, are you confident? Di Shi asked Lin Yu in a low voice. He didn't answer Yu Su's question directly. Instead, he was worried about the situation. When Yu Su was injured, he and Little Master Xiao Mingren had to use all their strength to barely fight with him. But now, Xiao Mingren wasn't here. If he fought with Yu Su, he didn't have the confidence to win. Confident? I don't know. Lin Yu shrugged. His gaze fell on Yu Su, who was in front of him, and he was sizing up her cultivation. If it was in the past, Lin Yu would feel an extremely strong pressure when he sensed Yu Su's cultivation. But it was different now. It seemed that with his current cultivation, he wasn't afraid of Yu Su. Lin Yu was eager to give it a try. He raised his eyebrows and said, Old thief Yu Su, you haven't recovered from your injuries and you want to embarrass yourself again? Or are you still unconvinced that you lost to me in chess last time and want to play another round with me? When he heard Lin Yu speak of this matter, Yu Su's old face immediately flushed red with anger. Lin Yu, you little brat, when did I ever lose to you in chess? You dare deceive the masses with your lies? Die. Chapter 672. So Dao Master Jade Su is so forgetful. How about we play another round? Lin Yu smirked. He already knew that this old fox wouldn't admit it. Now, Chern Shi had issued another challenge to him, and it instantly caused Downlord Jade Silk's face to turn gloomy. Lin Yu, this old man, before he could finish, a chessboard appeared in front of Lin Yu. The chessboard emitted a dazzling light. It was one of his famous emperor artifacts. World is like a chessboard. The moment this treasure appeared and it was in Lin Yu's hands, the conversation between Yu Su and Lin Yu just now. Who was lying and who was telling the truth? Even if the others didn't experience the battle on the demon suppressing bell, they would know the truth. When did you take away this old man's emperor artifact? What a person that the vast abyss Downlord wants to capture. Lin Yu, you really are a thief. Since Tsang Yuan can't deal with you, this old man will take you down with the identity of Dao Master Jade Su and return Sky Desert Universe a pure land. Yu Su said. Di sure couldn't help but curse Yu Su's 18 generations of ancestors in his heart. He finally realized what kind of person he had taken as his master. How could he be so shameless? As for Lin Yu, he could only spread his hands and put away world is like a chessboard. Since Dao Master isn't willing to fight with words, I don't mind fighting with force. All right. Yu Su sneered. Her figure instantly disappeared. When she reappeared, she had already sent a palm strike towards Lin Yu. The entire process happened so quickly that those below the Supreme Being realm couldn't react in time. Even if Earth Supreme Beings saw Yu Su's actions clearly, they couldn't react in time. Di Shi's battle strength exploded. From the moment Yu Su's aura approached him, he was already prepared to fight. At the same time, Di Shi swept his leg and used the fourth step of the sky trampling 7 step. A huge wave of air collided with Yu Su's palm strike. The confrontation between the two balanced great emperors immediately caused the space to emit cracking sounds. The rumbling sound of air waves continued to beat against the 20,000 warship. Everyone was extremely nervous. In the end, the Dao Master was going to attack them. However, these people did not choose to do anything. To them, leaving the Jade Peacock Dao world was merely to follow the footsteps of Mo Xian, Lu Yanqing and the others. However, if an even stronger Downlord Jade Silk were to appear now, then their loyalty wouldn't actually be that high. Therefore, most people were watching from the sidelines. At this time, the weak learned to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight to help themselves choose a suitable side. Lin Yu's warship had been knocked back quite a bit after the first battle. Di Shi retreated several steps, his blood and qi churning violently. His eyes narrowed slightly as he channeled the power of the balanced Great Emperor realm. He was ready to attack again with the 7 steps of heaven trampling. However, on Di Shi's face, one could tell that he was having a hard time. Even if he used his divine ability to fight against Downlord Jade Su's ordinary palm strike, the gap between the two of them was simply too great, to the extent that Di Shi was already at a disadvantage. Brother Lin, go find Senior Saber Monarch first. Di Shi spoke as he soared into the air, launching another attack. At the front of the warship, Yu Su laughed coldly. My good disciple, you are still too young. After clashing with Di Shi's attack, Di Shi's warship and people were knocked back. However, Yu Su was like a towering mountain, not moving at all. There was even a hint of mockery on her face. The 4 steps of heaven trampling, this old man also knows it. Yu Su cackled, her eyes revealing killing intent. Before this old man kills Lin Yu, this old man will first deal with you, this evil disciple. After saying that, the 2 waves of air collided with a loud boom. Bang bang bang! The entire pitch-black starry world suddenly exploded like an ocean. Endless waves of air slammed against the warships, causing the 20,000 warships to sway as though they were on the verge of collapse in the vast ocean. Oh no, if this continues, we will also suffer a calamity. Why don't we surrender? As long as we surrender, the Downlord might let us off. That's right, Emo Xianxian just became the sect leader and brought all of us away from the Jade Silk world. She's not worthy of being the sect leader at all. Isn't our Tower Lord Lu the same? Isn't it good to learn from Tower Lord Jiang and be the overlord of the glazed moon-treading tower? Why must she get involved in this mess? The morale of the army was already unstable. When Lin Yu saw Di Shi's wave of air being suppressed by Yu Su, he shook his head helplessly. His body shifted, and he instantly appeared in front of Di Shi. "Brother Lin, you're in danger." Di Shi jumped in fright. To suddenly appear in between him and Yu Su in such a situation, even if Lin Yu was a heavenly supreme now, he would definitely suffer great damage. "No matter, it's a good opportunity to test out my new move." Lin Yu smiled faintly, his gaze landing on that monstrous wave of air. The 7 steps of Heaven Trampling's attack range was too large, and it was impossible to dodge it easily. The only way to break it was to forcefully resist this wave of air. Lin Yu clasped his hands together, and the supreme 5 elements will in his body erupted. Golden Seal, Wood Seal, Water Seal, Fire Seal, Earth Seal. As Lin Yu's voice fell, 5 different runes appeared behind him at the same time. These runes rotated at high speed, increasing in speed. In an instant, Di Shi, who was behind him, seemed to hear the cry of a bird. This is the aura of a divine ability. Di Shi's heartbeat quickened. Lin Yu actually also had a divine ability, and Di Shi could feel that the power of Lin Yu's divine ability seemed to be more orthodox and powerful than his. Great Void 8 Divisions, Garuda's third move. Lin Yu raised his right hand, and the entire 5 elements seal suddenly gathered in the center of his palm. This palm caused his 5 elements seal to expand unceasingly. Metal begets water, water begets wood, wood begets fire, fire begets earth, earth begets metal, metal begets water, Lin Yu muttered to himself. He had already comprehended this move when he broke through, and it was named 5 Elements Seal Palm. As his voice fell, the palm that was constantly growing under the 5 elements instantly became 10,000 feet in size, and it was still expanding. What? Yu Su also sensed the power of Lin Yu's palm. Impossible, my sky-trampling 7 steps is an invincible divine ability in the universe. Yu Su's heart tightened, and a sense of oppression instinctively appeared. This was his sky-trampling 7 steps, and it was countered by Lin Yu's palm. Sky-trampling 7 steps, 5 elements seal palm. Rumble. An even greater tremor than before instantly erupted. Lin Yu gritted his teeth. In front of him, the palm that emitted 5 types of light continued to rotate and strengthen. It actually had a silent and undying feeling. That was because his eternal law had already merged with the 5 elements' supreme will. In fact, Lin Yu could sense the will of the starry sky in the area. Previously, only Yu Su had been able to sense it, but now Lin Yu could sense it. The heavenly Tao law of the square Tao world had also merged with the 5 elements' supreme will. The power contained within this supreme will was terrifyingly strong. Chapter 673. Boom. The airwave dissipated. Yu Su had no choice but to retreat a few steps this time. His eyes widened as he looked at the spot where Lin Yu's 5 elements Tao seal palm dissipated, revealing the scene of the youth standing with his hands behind his back. Lin Yu's gaze shocked Yu Su. When did this person become so strong? Moreover, his gaze was filled with disdain, as if even if Yu Su attacked today, he was not his match at all. At this moment, Yu Su also sensed that Lin Yu did not retreat a few steps at all. Compared to him, Lin Yu's palm strike had the upper hand instead. Yu Su, you can't do it, Lin Yu said calmly and walked over slowly. Behind him, the 5-star mark rotated once more, giving people a feeling of accumulating strength for a second palm strike. Wait! Yu Su's heart tightened. There must be something strange about this kid. How could he withstand his sky trampling 7 steps head-on with a mere heavenly supreme cultivation? Recalling how Lin Yu's tribulation back then made the vast abyss Tao Lord's life and death unknown even now, Yusu could not help but feel a sense of danger. No wonder that old man Lu Youqi wanted to protect him. No wonder Tao Lord Jadefall wanted to get rid of him. This kid was not someone he could deal with. Thinking up to here, Yusu's back was already covered in sweat. If not for Lin Yu gaining the upper hand in one move, he would still be overwhelmed by anger and did not think of this. Now that he thought about it carefully, Lin Yu, this kid was not to be trifled with. Kid, I have something to do today, so I'll let you off first. Yusu stood with his hands behind his back, forcefully suppressing the shock in his heart. As for you guys. His gaze landed on those 10,000 battleship, especially the battleship behind Lin Yu. There, he saw Jiang Qingying, Lu Yanqing, Ma Ting, and Madame Golden Lotus. These were the leaders of the 3 strongest sects that represented him, Yusu. But now they were all on Lin Yu's battleship. The demon suppressing bell was destroyed into pieces. The world was like a game of chess, and he lost the bet. Lin Yu had dug out all his trump cards. Are you guys determined to leave me, Yusu? His tone was much gentler. Hearing Yusu's attitude, not only Madame Jinlian and Lu Yanqing, but even Ma Ting and Jiang Qingying, who had interacted with Yusu many times, felt that something was amiss. They could tell that Yusu's admission of defeat was absolutely because she appeared after fighting with Lin Yu just now. At the beginning, when Yusu appeared, she used her equilibrium Great Emperor Realm cultivation to suppress everyone. No wonder young Master Lin had the upper hand in that exchange just now. Did the Taoist master compromise? Are they begging us to stay? Jiang Qingying and Ma Ting continued to ponder. Since they were able to become sect masters, they naturally had the ability to speculate about powerhouses. Tao Lord Jiang Qingying looked troubled. She wanted to say something but hesitated. What she had shown was a countertest. He didn't say that he was dead set. Instead, he deliberately put on a troubled expression. In fact, he also wanted to see if Lin Yu had won the game between Lin Yu and Yusu. Those who are loyal to the Yusu Tao world can stay. Those who are not loyal to the Yusu Tao world can leave now. However, don't think of returning in the future. Taoist Master Yusu snorted coldly. Although there was a warning in her words, it had no practical effect. Did she mean that nothing would happen if they left now? As for the nonsense of settling scores after the autumn, how could Jiang Qingying and Ma Ting be threatened? Taoist Master, the glazed moon stepping tower wants to leave Yusu and join a new master. Jiang Qingying smiled inwardly and spoke again. Lu Yanqing also nodded when she saw this. The glazed moon stepping tower wants to leave Yusu and join a new master. Yusu's face was ashen, but there was nothing he could do. If he fought force with force, he realized that he couldn't take down Lin Yu, the main culprit. All his forceful methods would be in vain. Now, letting these people choose whether to leave or stay was the only thing Yusu could do. The 7 demon halls of the netherworld have encountered a great calamity. 6 of my brothers have been killed, and the enemy is outside the Yusu Tao world. I, Ma Ting, apply to leave the Yusu Tao world to avenge my brothers. Ma Ting, who was standing aside, could see the current direction of the situation. However, he was far more cunning than Jiang Qingying. Therefore, Ma Ting didn't really fall out with Yusu. Instead, he used the excuse of leaving Yusu to seek revenge. Lin Yu, who was in front of him, glanced at him. Ma Ting's face twitched. He cupped his fists solemnly and said in a low voice, "This is a temporary measure. Please forgive me, young Master Lin." Seek revenge? Wasn't it Lin Yu who had done it? I hope Hall Master Ma will do as you say. I also feel very sorry for the death of the 6 demon halls of the netherworld. Lin Yu smiled faintly. He didn't like Ma Ting's ambiguous attitude. Therefore, Ma Ting couldn't be an indecisive fence-sitter. Upon hearing Lin Yu's words, Ma Ting's heart sank. Ma Ting's subconscious desire to kneel and beg for the Tao rose abruptly. With a plop, the crowd saw Ma Ting kneel before Lin Yu. "Young master, I don't dare. I won't seek revenge anymore. Those 6 demon halls deserved to die. I won't seek revenge anymore," Ma Ting said. His voice was extremely mournful, as if he had been greatly wronged. When Madame Golden Lotus saw this, she knelt down as well. "Young master, please forgive him. My husband made a mistake." When the others saw this scene, 2 heavenly sovereigns knelt before Lin Yu. They were even more aware of how strong Lin Yu's dominance was at this moment. Yu Su, who was opposite them, also twitched her face. Damn it. Ma Ting wasn't even so respectful when she saw him in the past. Although she cursed in her heart, she couldn't help but admit that Lin Yu had the ability to lead. It was impossible for Jiang Qingying, Ma Ting, and Madame Golden Lotus to change their minds. "There won't be a next time," Lin Yu said calmly to Ma Ting. His calm tone made Yu Su and Madame Golden Lotus feel as if they had experienced a life-and-death crisis. This young man couldn't be judged by his age. His emperor's schemes were even more terrifying than Yu Su's. Ma Ting reminded himself in his heart. "Yu Su, since your people want to leave, do you still want to stay?" Lin Yu turned around and smiled at Yu Su. From the beginning, his 5 elements seal was ready to attack again at any time. This was a warning that made Yu Su fearful and not dare to attack again. In a battle of this level, once Yu Su showed signs of being at a disadvantage, or even being seriously injured, she might just die here. "My Tao is the nature of all things. I will never force anything." Yu Su slowly closed her eyes. "Go. Those who should leave have left. Those who should stay will naturally stay." Her words were ethereal and sacred. Yu Su seemed to have used up her last shred of dignity and didn't ask her to stay. She took a step forward and left the starry sky. "Farewell, Taoist Master Yu Su. Farewell, Taoist Master Yu Su." Many disciples were still respectful to this Taoist master. After bowing, they calmed their minds and sighed. They decided to start a new life. Chapter 674. Lin Yu smiled and thought, "These old foxes are really good at playing tricks." They had already left, but they still refused to put down their pride. "Continue our journey." Lin Yu returned to the warship, his clothes fluttering without wind. He was like the supreme commander of an army, slowly giving orders. The 20,000 warships set off again. This time, there were no obstructions, and they left the Jade Su Dao world smoothly. And after they left Yu Su, Dishur, who was at the side, walked over to Lin Yu's side. "Brother Lin, you're injured," Dishur said in a low voice. His power turned into a warm current that flowed towards Lin Yu. At this moment, no one could see that the corner of Lin Yu's mouth was already overflowing with blood. That move just now, he was indeed injured by Yu Su. But Lin Yu was sure that Yu Su was also injured. A perfect heavenly sovereign of 5 elements. His battle prowess is comparable to an early-stage great emperor. Lin Yu already had a judgment in his heart. In the next moment, his space-time value flowed, and all his injuries were instantly healed. And the power that Dishur transmitted was also directly repelled. So strong. Dishur's eyes widened. He was the closest to Lin Yu, so he could sense the changes in Lin Yu's injuries. Lin Yu's aura that was still extremely unstable just now was actually completely recovered now. How was this possible? Dishur was shocked, only feeling that he had discovered a huge secret. But he could only hide it in his heart, unable to say it out loud. Thousands of miles away, Yu Su's figure appeared again. His old face was red, and he directly spat out a large mouthful of blood. Divine ability. Lin Yu's divine ability is a complete divine ability. Yu Su's face was filled with unwillingness, his hands clenched into fists. For thousands of years I've never suffered such humiliation. Lin Yu, I'll take your life. Without the disciples of the three sects, Yu Su laid his cards on the table, no longer bearing. His killing intent was extremely strong now, but he knew that he couldn't continue like this. No, I have to return to my peak state as soon as possible. No wonder that old ghost Song Yuan couldn't take down Lin Yu. In such a short time, he actually has the power to injure me. Aggrieved. Ah, this old man is so angry. Yu Su's loud roar reverberated in all directions, startling all the merchant ships that were passing by. Lin Yu's warships headed straight for the place where the Fang Yi Dao world had once been. Young master, could this be? Jiang Qingying immediately recognized it. The Square Dao realm. That's right, I'm from the Square Dao world. Lin Yu stood with his hands behind his back. Strictly speaking, he didn't belong to the Sky Desert universe. However, these were not things that they knew, so they might as well keep it simple. Now, he wanted to rebuild the Fang Dao realm. Are we going to start over here? Jiang Qingying was also a little excited. She had been scheming against Lu Yanqing for so many years, and she was only confined to the small space of the glazed moon treading tower. The world was huge. Now that she had come out, she felt that the fight with Lu Yanqing in the past was child's play. That's right. Unfortunately, there are many things waiting to be done here. Lin Yu smiled faintly. He didn't seem to be discouraged. Instead, he said, there is nothing, which means that there can be anything. Lu Yanqing's eyes seemed to be enlightened. She stepped forward and nodded. Master, are you saying that this Dao world is extremely malleable? Lin Yu grunted softly and said with a smile, there are no infinite possibilities on a piece of paper that has everything. However, if you are given a piece of white paper, you can draw on it, do calligraphy, or even turn it into a talisman. Lin Yu spread his hands. Back then, the 9 thearchs of the Fang Yi Dao world dominated the Sky Desert. That was his bottleneck. Afterward, Ghost Emperor Songyuan plotted against the 9 thearchs and caused them to fall. He destroyed the Fang Yi Dao world and built the Songyuan Dao world himself. Now, this Fang Yi Dao world is a piece of white paper. He has the potential to return to the bottleneck and even surpass the Fang Yi Dao world of the past. Lin Yu's words stunned everyone. It was as though a young emperor was expressing his ambition and lofty aspirations. However, Lin Yu's words did not have the slightest arrogance of a young man. Instead, it was a kind of certainty. A certainty that his words would definitely come true. Your subordinate swears to follow sect master to death. Ma Ting's ability to change the rudder according to the wind had already been perfected. After Lin Yu finished speaking, he had already knelt on one knee and cupped his fists. Seeing this, Madame Golden Lotus also knelt down. Mo Xianxian was stunned. Since the two of them had started the momentum, she had no choice but to kneel down. Your subordinate swears to follow sect master to death. Since Mo Xianxian and Ma Ting knelt down, Lu Yanqing, who was also the leader of the 3 sects, naturally had to show her attitude. Your subordinate swears to follow sect master to death. Jiang Qingying and everyone on the 20,000 battleships knelt down at the same time and kowtowed to Lin Yu. However, that young man's expression did not change at all. He was still extremely calm as he received the kowtowing of tens of thousands of people. Rise. As his voice fell, the momentum of the 20,000 battleships was heard. Thank you, Sect Master. The battleships were about to enter the Dao world of Square. However, in the next moment, Lin Yu and Dishir were the first to sense that there were 2 auras at the entrance of the Dao world of Square. These 2 auras emitted the strange auras of heavenly sovereigns. When they got closer, everyone could see clearly. The person on the left had 2 horns on his head, his skin was red, and his eyes were like copper bells. He was extremely ugly. The person on the right was a human, and below his waist was a pale white python. They are the vast Abyss Sect Master's men. Jiang Qingying was experienced and knowledgeable. She immediately stood beside Lin Yu and said, "They are the subordinates of the vast Abyss Sect Master and have never left the vast Abyss. I've only heard of their appearances. Why have they appeared here?" These two people were neither human nor beast. Standing in front of everyone, they gave off the feeling that they were guarding the Tao world of Square. Ghost Ox, Deity Snake. Lin Yu's lips curled up slightly. The one guarding outside was a clone of the vast Abyss Ghost Emperor, but it was a pity that the clone was destroyed by a single slap from a woman. After that incident, coupled with the huge commotion he caused in the heavenly desert, the vast Abyss Ghost Emperor probably sent these two generals. "Stop!" Ghost Ox's eyes were like torches. He raised his hand, and a peak heavenly sovereign aura formed a wall of air, blocking the battleships in front. As for Deity Snake, he cackled. His eyes were vertical, and he stared at the beauties on the battleships. "Leave her, and her." Deity Snake pointed at Lu Yanqing, Mo Xianxian, Jiang Qingying, and Zhang Qingxue beside Lin Yu and smiled greedily. Everyone else scram. After listening, the four women were not angry, but Madame Golden Lotus was. "What do you mean? Why didn't you mention me?" "Hee, I have no interest in a middle-aged woman." Deity Snake sneered and waved his tail. In an instant, a storm was formed and enveloped the battleships in front. "Brother Lin, I will deal with them." Di Shi had lost his patience. Seeing Lin Yu nod, Di Shi took a step forward and arrived in front of the two. Chapter 675. His aura erupted instantly, and the sky-trampling 7 steps formed an even larger shockwave, breaking through Snake Deity's storm and colliding with Ghost Ox's shockwave. His first move was the sky-trampling 4 steps. The two Ghost Ox and Snake Deity's hearts tightened. Balance, Emperor Realm. They were aware of Di Shi's strength, but it was already too late for them to withdraw their attacks. The sky-trampling 7 steps broke apart the attacks of the two, causing them to directly spit out a mouthful of blood. As they staggered backwards, the air above their heads had already blasted downwards. "It's over! Lord Golden Crow, save us!" Ghost Ox and Snake Deity shouted at the same time. Just as the sky-trampling 7 steps was about to hit them, suddenly, hundreds of thousands of flames gathered at the entrance of the Square Tao world. An intimidating cry of a phoenix could be heard. Lin Yu's lips curled up. "Yamato is here?" "No, that bird came by itself." Di Shi frowned slightly as he saw the flames colliding with his shockwave. In an instant, water and fire collided. The sky-trampling 7 steps was dissolved, and the flames gradually took shape. It was Jade Fall Daelord's Golden Crow. After escaping death, the Ghost Ox and Snake Deity immediately knelt down. The Golden Crow's eyes glowed with golden light, and it stared at Di Shi as if it had locked onto its prey. Yamato's bird came out by itself to mingle with these Ghost Ox and Snake Deity. Is it trying to conceive offspring? Lin Yu stood with his hands behind his back, smiling faintly. As his voice fell, the Golden Crow trembled, and another cry erupted from its mouth. Instantly, the sound of space exploding erupted between the Golden Crow and Lin Yu. "Brother Lin, be careful." Di Shi stood in front of Lin Yu and was about to use the sky-trampling 7 step. But in the next instant, a domineering saber intent descended from the right side of the starry sky, cutting off the Golden Crow's cry. Space cracked, and the Golden Crow's attack failed. It looked sharply in the direction where the saber intent came from. There, a middle-aged man slowly walked over. "If Lin Yu is hurt, I'll cut off your wings and make wine out of you." The person who walked over was Buddha Killing Heart, Gue Relai. Behind him, Little Buddha appeared as well, and hundreds of thousands of sabers appeared at the same time. That was the remaining fighting power of the Killing Heart Palace. It was also the strongest combat power. Among them, the crowd sensed the auras of 3 heavenly sovereigns. There were also at least 50 Earth Sovereign auras. The others were also all at the Law Realm. Not even the Grand Supreme stage. I'm Jiang Xing, the Left Saber Envoy of the Killing Heart Temple. I'm here to seek refuge with young Master Lin Yu. Right Saber Envoy Situ Hua of the Killing Heart Palace's Lord Xing is here to seek refuge with young Master Lin Yu. Under Lord Buddha of the Killing Heart Palace, the leaders respectfully greeted Lin Yu one after another. All of these people were well-known figures in the infinite Tao world, especially a few of them who were slightly older. Even Jiang Qingying and Ma Ting had heard of their names. The murderous Heart Palace has always been arrogant. To think that they would come to seek refuge with young Master Lin. We have more powerful figures in our camp now. Could the one in front of Little Master Xing be the legendary Killing Heart Palace's Lord Gui Rulai, who has been missing for 3,000 years? It can't be wrong. Even the current Wu Jiang Taoist master doesn't have such a sharp saber aura. In the desert, only Saber Lord Gui Rulai can casually cut the Yamato Golden Crow in half. The arrival of the people from the murderous Heart Palace also made the hearts of Lin Yu's disciples beat faster. The presence of these fierce generals meant that they were now under Lin Yu's command. It was the right decision. The Golden Crow and the Heavenly Sovereign's hearts tightened when they saw this. The former immediately flapped its wings and prepared to leave, while the latter fled in different directions at full speed. As for the mission that Song Yuan had asked them to guard this place, they had naturally forgotten about it. Who dares to leave before young Master Lin allows us to? Gui Rulai shouted sternly. Without needing him to do anything, the murderous Heart Palace's Saber Seal had already occupied the positions in all directions. The Golden Crow looked in Lin Yu's direction angrily. At the same time, the sky-reflecting mirror in Lin Yu's arms trembled. I promised a friend that I would borrow your fire. Lin Yu spoke slowly. As soon as he finished speaking, Gui Rulai and the others had already attacked. Wait, we are the Song Yuan Tao Master's men. The Heavenly Sovereigns shouted. However, Lin Yu just smiled and said, People of the Song Yuan Tao Master and above, listen to my command. Kill without mercy. Yes. In an instant, all the Heavenly Sovereigns and Great Emperors of Balance attacked together. Jiang Qingying, Ma Ting, Madame Golden Lotus, and the left and right saber wielders of the murderous Heart Palace directly killed the Heavenly Sovereigns. On the battlefield of the Great Emperors of Balance Realm, Saber Lord, Di Shi and Little Buddha were also attacking the Golden Crow. The Emperor Artifact Monster Beast of the Azure Sky Path Master naturally looked down on it. However, without Yamato around, its combat power was limited. The monstrous flames were gradually suppressed by the saber intent and sky-trampling 7-step. The Golden Crow quickly fled, but in the end its left wing was chopped off by Gui Rulai. I am the Emperor Artifact of the Azure Sky Tao Master. How dare you? The Golden Crow let out a shrill cry and actually spoke in human language. You have to look at the owner before beating a dog. Lin Yu touched his chin. What a pity. I will settle the score with the Azure Sky Tao Master sooner or later. As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Yu was determined to kill. However, in the next moment, the Golden Crow's broken wing exploded, and a sea of golden flames appeared in front of everyone. As the sea of flames raged, Saber Lord, Di Shi, and Little Buddha had no choice but to retreat. Even Lin Yu and the others could only temporarily retreat under the sea of flames. You are risking half of your life. Lin Yu shook his head helplessly and took out the sky-reflecting mirror. Old friend, this 10th colored flame can help you reconstruct your true body. As soon as he finished speaking, the sky-reflecting mirror flew directly into the sea of flames. At the same time, a teleportation light connected with the Square Tao world. In the next moment, countless people from the Square Tao world appeared from the teleportation light. Low-profile sect, Emperor sect. There were also many familiar voices that appeared one after another. After bringing these people back to the square Tao world, the sky-reflecting mirror exerted all its suction force. The hundreds of thousands of feet of flames turned into a whirlpool and were crazily sucked into the sky-reflecting mirror. On the sky-reflecting mirror, Lin Xiu's consciousness was flowing quickly. It seemed to be saying something to Lin Yu. "Okay, I will wait for you," Lin Yu muttered to himself and led everyone's warship across the sea of flames. They successfully entered the square Tao world. At this moment, the two groups of people met and were shocked. The auras of those people are actually so strong. Saber Seal, a top-notch Saber Seal, and their cultivation is at least at the Earth's supreme level. Not only that, they are even stronger than the number 1 on the blacklist. It is impossible for them to only be Earth Supremes. And those people, their flags say Heavenly Soul Sect. Could they be cultivators of the divine sense? The leader is also stronger than the number 1 on the blacklist. It's over. Are we going to face such strong enemies as soon as we come out? Apart from Lord Xidigarba, no one can fight against such strong enemies. Chapter 676. At this moment, the Fang Yi Dao world was like a backward barbarian race. Everyone was trembling in fear in the face of Lin Yu's new force. Even the 20,000 warships on Lin Yu's side did not have any ill intentions. However, compared to the people of the Fang Yi Dao world, they were indeed too powerful. "Don't worry, they're all my people," a lazy voice sounded. Lin Yu slowly stepped forward and appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Lin Yu, the imperial tutor of the Zither Emperor sect. The sect master of the Loki sect, Sect Master Lin. The strongest son-in-law of the Wind Moon clan, who married the Wind Moon 5 immortals at the same time. The master of the Azura Emperor sects, Emperor Luo Shaochen, Imperial Tutor Lin. Is this the young Master Lin who replaced the first on the blacklist and became the new first on the blacklist? Legend has it that he is also the man behind the Xidigarba King Li Jun, the true master of the Ghost sect. In the Fang Yi Dao world, all the rumors about Lin Yu exploded at this moment. Even though Lin Yu had been busy in the Sky Desert universe during this period of time, he did not have time to enter the sky-reflecting realm and catch up with the people of the Fang Yi Dao world. However, the people here still spread his legend. At this moment, Li Jun, who was the new commander, bowed to Lin Yu from afar. Beside her were the left and right envoys of the Loki sect, Yang Kai and Qin Wunyan. Behind them were the elders of the Loki sect. Great Elder Qin Ji, Second Elder Yao Gu, Third Elder Jian Qir, Fourth Elder Long Lin, Fifth Elder Jun Wushang. Familiar faces appeared one after another. For Lin Yu, he understood everyone. However, after this separation, these people seemed to miss him very much. "Greetings, Sect Master. Greetings, Imperial Tutor. Brother Lin Yu." Everyone murmured and recalled the past when they knew Lin Yu. They could not help but feel depressed. Lin Yu waved his hand, and Li Jun and the left and right envoys of the Loki sect came forward. On the other side, Lin Yu also called Sha Xian, Jiang Qinying, and the others. Lin Yu instructed the old and new factions to negotiate on their own. With these people around, Lin Yu naturally didn't have to worry so much. The people of Fang Yi Dao world, the Jade Silk 3 sects, and the people of Murderous Heart Palace worked together on their own. Lin Yu, on the other hand, found a relatively complete continent under Qin Ji's arrangement. This seemed to be where the Forgotten Immortal sect used to be. Because it was closer to the edge of the Fang Yi Dao world, when the Ghost Emperor had destroyed the Fang Yi Dao world, the Forgotten Immortal sect, which was in the corner, had been less damaged. Along the way, Qin Ji prepared the supreme clear pool for Lin Yu. Lin Yu also jumped in by himself. Lin Yu let out a long sigh as he rested his hands on the jade stone beside the clear pool. After he had escaped, he had used this place as the starting point. Unexpectedly, he had returned to the starting point now. The difference was that Lin Yu had nothing back then. Now, he had the power of the entire Feng Yi Dao world, including the three sects and murderous Heart Palace. This place was stronger than before. Lin Yu pondered over the time. Almost 3 years had passed since he had escaped. He still looked like a 15 or 16-year-old youth. After reaching a certain cultivation level, the aging of one's appearance would become slower and slower. In particular, Lin Yu cultivated 3 elements at the same time. His spiritual force, mental state, and combat physique were perfect, and Lin Yu's cultivation level kept soaring. Time simply couldn't leave a mark on his face. It's been 3 years, but Sect Master is still in his prime. As for us elders, we have aged quite a bit. Qinji walked over slowly from beside the supreme clear pool. She was dressed in a dignified long dress. Even though she was dressed up naturally and gracefully, her clothes still couldn't conceal her increasingly charming figure. Sect Master Qin, you've become more attractive. Lin Yu hooked his finger with his right hand. You haven't called me Sect Master Qin in a long time. Qinji smiled gracefully. She naturally understood the meaning of Lin Yu's finger. She lifted the hem of her dress with both hands, revealing her fair and flawless calves, and slowly stepped into the clear pool. However, an overbearing suction force erupted from Lin Yu's body and directly sucked Qinji into his arms. Water splashed everywhere. Lin Yu's lips curled up slightly. I remember someone saying that if I break through, she will accompany me to do something fun. I wonder how many times she has to accompany me now that I've broken through so many realms. Qinji's delicate face immediately turned red. Before she could speak, Lin Yu had already taken off all her clothes. The water splashed out, and the jade stones beside the supreme clear pool were all soaked. There was even a trace of dark red blood left on one of the jade stones. The blood was like a flower bud that was slowly washed away by the water. 6 hours later, Qinji laid on Lin Yu's body without any strength. I missed you so much, Qinji said weakly. She buried her entire body in Lin Yu's embrace and said, Sect Master, did you miss everyone? She didn't mention herself, because Qinji knew that Lin Yu had too many women, and these women were all exceptional beauties that were 1 in a million. It wasn't that Lin Yu was a womanizer by nature, but his personal charm. Lin Yu didn't have to deliberately do anything to make these women involuntarily approach him. Qinji understood that she was just one of the women who couldn't extricate herself from Lin Yu. After her, there were many women who were even more beautiful and talented. I don't know either. Lin Yu didn't directly answer Qinji's question. Missing someone or not, Lin Yu seemed to have forgotten what it felt like. He had experienced too many emotions. Ever since he escaped that day, his state of mind was like the supreme clear pool that was gradually calming down in front of him. It was difficult to see the slightest ripple. But such an answer made Qinji's face show a little unwillingness. Was this guy so heartless to every woman? He was so heartless that he wasn't even willing to say a glib word. But he could make so many women fall in love with him. Thinking of this, Qinji blushed. Sect Master, you've broken through so many times. Qinji has to fulfill her promise. Lin Yu blinked. Wasn't it already done? But in the next moment, Qinji had already dived into the water. Water splashed everywhere again. 6 hours. Another 6 hours. The time outside the forgotten immortal sect went from day to night and then to dawn. When Lin Yu and Qinji separated again, it was already half the night. Bastard, why aren't you tired? Opposite Lin Yu, on the other side of the supreme clear pool, Qinji was breathing rapidly, as if she was completely exhausted. She couldn't remember how many times she had kept her promise. 10 times? 20 times? Qinji originally wanted to vent her anger for her sisters, but she didn't expect Lin Yu's body to be too strong. Or many, call some people here. There are still a few more. Lin Yu smiled teasingly and curled his finger. Qinji lay in his arms again. I'm not playing anymore. I surrender, Qinji said helplessly. Lin Yu smiled and said, Okay, I have something for you to do. Chapter 677. Please instruct me, Sect Master. Since a new force has joined, the previous 12th Elder Palace should also be changed. Qin-ji nodded. Sect Master is right. The new force that appeared with Sect Master this time has much stronger combat power than us. They should be given a status. After a few days of frivolous matters, Qin-ji became serious when she recalled that she had many trivial matters to attend to. Order them to wait for me in the Sect Master's palace. After Lin Yu said that, Qin-ji slowly walked out of the Supreme Clear Pool, put on a clean set of new clothes, and bowed to take her leave. 2 hours later, in the Sect Master's palace of Loki Sect, the people from the two forces had already arrived. The original members of Loki Sect were led by Yang Kai, Qin Wunyan, and Qin Ji. The members from Yusu and the Infinite Tao World were led by Lord Sha Xian and Di Shi. The people from the two forces were very respectful. There was no hostility between the new and the old because of the difference in combat power. After all, they were loyal to only one person. At this moment, a young man walked in from outside the palace. Everyone cupped their fists in unison. Greetings, Sect Master. Lin Yu sat upright in the main hall and looked down at everyone before waving his hand for everyone to rise. Along the way, he did not have any emotions and did not respond to anyone's greetings. This action fully displayed the ruthlessness and balanced way of governing people. How's the distribution of forces in the Tao world? Lin Yu asked calmly. Below, Yang Kai and Qin Wunyan, who were in charge of the distribution of forces, stepped forward at the same time. They responded to the current distribution map of everyone in the Tao world. It included the previous core of the Emperor Sect, the inner territory, the outer territory, and the border. At that moment, they were all redivided into new positions. The new territory is as above. I suggest that our Sect Master's palace also move to the core area so that we can command the Tao world. Yang Kai said. Lin Yu nodded in agreement and looked at Qin Ji. The latter's pretty face immediately turned red, and she could not help but recall the love between a man and a woman in the past few days. However, she naturally understood now that it was not the time to think about this. How many resources do we have now? Lin Yu asked again. Qin Ji stepped forward and replied, We've already tallied up all the resources in the Yidao world below. There are a total of 14,800 trillion Yaobot and 5.73 million cultivation manuals. Among them, 2,910,000 Huang grade cultivation manuals, 2,300,000 Xian grade cultivation manuals, 410,000 Earth grade cultivation manuals, and 110,000 Heaven grade cultivation manuals and Tao technique. There are more than 376 million weapons in the inventory. Among them, Qin Ji reported the weapons, array formations, the flow of shops, and the statistics of the number of disciples in the Fang Yi Dao world. In the 2 hours after leaving Lin Yu, she reacted quickly and hurriedly went to check on the latest progress. Otherwise, she would have been speechless by now. Dao Jun and the others were moved when they saw the statistics of the resources they had obtained. He had thought that the Fang Yi Dao world was just a fallen Dao world that had been removed from the Dao world and that its strength was no longer what it had been in the past. However, he did not expect that with the addition of Yusu and the resources of the Murderous Heart Palace, the Fang Yi Dao world would become even stronger. Apart from that, the current Fang Yi Dao world did not lose out to the other Dao worlds in terms of its own resources. Since the Fang Yi Dao world has such boundless resources, we will definitely surpass our predecessors in the future. With Sect Master Lin leading us, dominating the Heaven Desert is only a matter of time. Below, Long Lin, Lu Wuhan, and the others had already started to jeer. Lin Yu probably asked about concubine Qin's resources in order to reassure everyone. A true Dao world naturally could not be like a ruin. A true leader naturally could not talk about ideals with his subordinate. Resources and strength were the best medicine to stabilize the morale of the army. After listening to Qin Ji's report, Lin Yu threw a decree over. When the decree landed in Qin Ji's hands, Lin Yu said, "I'm going to confer you a new title. Everyone, listen up." Everyone in the hall had a solemn expression. A new title signified their status in the Fang Yi Dao world in the future. When Qin Ji opened the decree, she felt a domineering aura of an emperor. Lin Yu's words were extremely sharp and his strokes were like dragons and snakes. It was as if a natural emperor was conferring a divine strategy. Yang Kai, everyone from the Sword Emperor sect, Jian Qi'er, everyone from the Sword Clan, and Yang Qing, listen up. Qin Ji slowly read the names on it. The former left envoy of the Low-Key sect, Yang Kai, is conferred the title of Sword God of the Fang Yi Dao world. Jian Qi'er and Yang Qing will assist him. The Sword Emperor sect and the Sword Clan are at his disposal. Thank you, Sect Master. Yang Kai, Jian Qi'er, Yang Qing, and several leaders representing the Sword Emperor sect and the Southern Territories Sword Clan knelt down to thank him. Back then, Yang Kai was the left and right envoys of the Low-Key sect. Now that he was the Sword God of the Fang Yi Dao world, it was unknown whether he had been promoted or demoted. However, when Yang Kai was transferred from the left envoy palace to Yang Qing's elder palace, they could not live together. With this transfer, the father and daughter could truly live together in the same hall. He was overjoyed. After thanking him, Qin Ji read again. Qin Wunyan, by Xuechen, Xin Yan, Lian Yin, Wind Moon 5 Immortals, Zither Emperor Sect, and the Wind Moon Clan. When the 9 people heard their names, they immediately stepped forward. Qin Wunyan will be the elegant god of the Fang Yi Dao world. Bai Xuechen and Yao Gu will assist him. The rest will be at his disposal. Qin Wunyan, Bai Xuechen, and the others were all talented people. Naturally, they could not fight and kill all day long. While practicing martial arts, how could they not want to be as cultured as they usually were? This conferment immediately made Qin Wunyan and Bai Xuechen look at each other and smile. Brother Qin. Brother Bai. Please. After everyone knelt down to thank her, Qin Ji saw her name. Qin Ji, the Grand Elder of the Low-Key sect, will be the authoritative god of the Fang Yi Dao world. She will be in charge of the distribution of all resources in the Fang Yi Dao world. She still did what she did before, but from the Low-Key sect, she expanded it to the Fang Yi Dao world. Qin Ji pursed her lips lightly. She was very touched. This position was the lifeline of the Fang Yi Dao world. Thank you, Sect Master. After thanking her, Lin Yu nodded gently. The conferment continued. Long Lin was conferred the title of Artifact God of the Fang Yi Dao world. He was in charge of refining weapons and training disciples. This was a position on par with the Sword Dao. Lu Wuhan was also assisting the Artifact God. These 2 old friends continued to work together, but they understood each other's pressure. Now, compared to the newcomers of the Fang Yi Dao world, they were much weaker. The 2 of them looked at each other and nodded. After thanking her, they secretly vowed to become stronger as soon as possible. Only then would they be worthy of Lin Yu's trust. Jun Wushang was conferred the title of Merchant God. Yi Mingyue assisted him. Lu Yanqing and Jiang Qingying led the Glazed Moon Treading Tower. They were also included. There was no need to talk about combat power. They only talked about wealth and business. This was in line with what these people had done in the past. After that, Mu Qingqing was conferred the title of Mechanical God. Azura Emperor Sect's Luo Shaochen assisted him. Tong Emperor Sect's Sect Master forged armor. These people were relatively younger and had dealt with mechas before. Mu Qingqing and Tong Emperor Sect thanked him. As for Luo Shaochen, it did not matter. Anyway, with her talent, she could learn anything. It would be better if she could be with people of the same age as Mu Qingqing. Chapter 678. Xia Bing and the Medicine God Division of the Medicine Emperor's Sect, as well as Han Wanqing and Tang Xian, who had the mutated blood battle physique. Dong Wang Feiyu and the other two sisters continued to train their disciples and stayed in the Magic God Division. As for the people of the Jade Silk Dao world, Lin Yu organized the War God Division, which was managed by Di Shi, Ma Ting, Golden Lotus, and Little Mei Li Jun. It was currently the most powerful division in the Dao world. Along with the War God Division were Lord Killing Heart, Little Buddha, and the people from the Killing Heart Palace, who were appointed by Lin Yu as the God-Slaying Division. These two most powerful divisions, together with the third division, formed the strongest lineup of the Dao world. It was the War God Division, which was made up of Qing Qing, Mo Xianxian, the Tianhun sect, and the Divine Will Emperor sect. This division was designed to stimulate Qing Qing and Mo Xianxian's expertise in leading troops. In a real war, they would form the top military camp of the Dao world with the War God Division and the God-Slaying Division. As for the Demon God Division, Lin Yu didn't forget about the Little Monkey and the 8-winged Demon Python, as well as the 9-colored egg in the Loki sect's Heaven Lake. The 3 demonic beasts, as well as the yak and other demonic beasts from the Glazed Moon Treading Tower, were all included in the Demon God Division. After doing all this, everyone had a new identity and status, and they were filled with joy. After reading the conferment, Qin Ji also heaved a sigh of relief. She knew that she couldn't be like Lin Yu, who could reshuffle the existing forces of the Dao world and confer titles. She bowed to Lin Yu to thank him, and everyone followed suit. Rise. Lin Yu waved his hand and said, "Is there any news from the Heaven Desert?" Dao Jun and the people from the Killing Heart Palace looked at each other. They remembered that Lin Yu had asked them to keep an eye on the Heaven Desert. Only Dao Jun, Gui Rulai, and the Killing Heart Palace could find some news in the Heaven Desert universe and escape unscathed. The Myriad Beasts War Emperor and the Jade Sky Dao Lord have already met once. Saber Monarch cupped his fists and said, "According to the news, the strength displayed by the Myriad Beast War Emperor has reached the 9 Dao balanced Great Emperor realm. He's only one step away from entering the realm that no one in the Sky Desert has ever succeeded in." Everyone's heart tightened, and their breathing became hurried. Firstly, he had heard of the fame of the 10,000 Beast War Emperor. Secondly, he heard the words 9 Dao balanced Great Emperor realm. To the people present, some of them hadn't even stepped into the utmost exalted realm. Not to mention, the utmost exalted realm was divided into the heaven and earth exalted realm. The difference between the utmost exalted realm and the utmost exalted realm was like the difference between heaven and earth. Not to mention the Balance Emperor realm, which was above the Heavenly Supreme realm. To the people of the original Fang Yi Dao realm, their understanding of the Balance Emperor realm was still stuck in the Imperial era 10,000 years ago. In that era where the 9 Thearchs vied for glory, there was a balanced Tharch realm. Continue. Lin Yu's words interrupted everyone's thoughts. Gui Rulai nodded and continued, "The Jade Sky Dao Lord, the 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 9 underworlds and the boundless 8 great Dao realms work together to fight the Myriad Beast War Emperor to a draw in the first battle. I guess the second battle will begin soon, and the Jade Sky Dao Lord seems to be holding the second Dao Lord conference." These words confused everyone. Other than Little Buddha and Di Shi, who had reached the Balance Great Emperor realm, the others didn't understand what was going on. Interesting. Since the 8 great Dao Lords are all here, I can join in the fun. Lin Yu's lips curled up, while Dao Jun and the others broke out in cold sweat. Lin Yu had caused the 8 great Dao Lords to fight each other previously. Was this a new romance? I'll leave some words on the boundary stone while I'm at it. Standing up, Lin Yu walked out of the hall. "Senior Saber Monarch, Di Shi, Little Buddha, come with me." Go where?" Di Shi was stunned. Little Buddha also swallowed his saliva. Although they were also balanced great emperors, after the previous battle, they understood that there was still a huge gap between them and a true Tao Lord. Now, they didn't dare to be impudent in front of Tao Lords like before. Naturally, we're going to the boundary stone. Lin Yu smiled. With a wave of his hand, he slowly walked to a corner of the low-profile sect under everyone's gaze. There was nothing here. It was just an ordinary empty space. However, just as everyone was about to ask, Lin Yu formed a series of hand seals with both hands. Suddenly, a teleportation force appeared in the empty space. There wasn't a teleportation array here just now? A teleportation array that appeared out of nowhere. Sect Master actually has such a divine ability. Dao Jun immediately recognized that it was a teleportation array that led to the Boundary Stone. The Boundary Stone was the place where the Tao Lords of the Sky Desert Universe held their Tao Lord Conference. On the Boundary Stone, the names of the 9 great Tao worlds were engraved. The rest of you, stay alert in the square Tao world. Lin Yu's voice was heard as he stepped into the teleportation array. Just as Dao Jun, Di Shi, and Little Buddha were about to follow, the 9-colored egg suddenly vibrated in a high place in the low-profile sect. The 9-colored egg was connected to Lin Yu through the blood sacrifice heart refining blood. Naturally, the latter could detect the abnormality quickly. Lin Yu stopped in his tracks. The 9-colored egg had already disappeared. The little monkey and the 8-winged demon Emperor Python, who were guarding it, jumped up in shock. It's okay. It's with me. Lin Yu transmitted his voice. At the same time, his divine consciousness had already checked his storage ring. Teleportation. With a satisfied smile, Lin Yu took the 9-colored egg and stepped into the teleportation array. Gui Rulai, Di Shi, and Little Buddha also followed. The 4 people and the egg disappeared before everyone's eyes. This scene made the others in the square Tao world secretly clench their fists. It seems like we can't help the sect master at all. We're too weak. If we really fight, we still have to rely on the people from the Jade Silk Tao world and the Infinite Tao world. No, the square Tao world has already fallen behind for 10,000 years. We can't be underestimated anymore. The sect master has been leading us. We can't embarrass the sect master. On the Boundary Stone, the 9 Tao masters sat in their respective positions at the same time. Behind them were the boundary stones that represented the names of their respective Tao world. Those bastards from the Abyss of Despair killed many of our people this time. Haha, so what if the people from the Xuandu Tao world died? The Jade Silk Tao world lost people from the 3 major sects. Tao Master Jade Silk, is what you said true? I saw that the Jade Silk Tao world didn't send many people in yesterday's battle. How did you lose so many people? Yes, we didn't find many corpses from the Jade Silk Tao world. Tao Master Jade Silk, you said that the people from the Heavenly Soul sect, the Glazed Moon Stepping Tower, and the 7 Fiends Hall of the Netherworld all died in yesterday's battle. This is somewhat strange. In the face of the other Tao Master's hesitation, Yu Su was neither servile nor overbearing. He snorted coldly. My people sacrificed themselves for the greater good of the human race. How could this be false? If you don't believe me, you can go to the Jade Silk Tao world and see if the people from the 3 major sects are all dead. Upon hearing his righteous words, the Tao Masters didn't dare to doubt him anymore. After all, yesterday's battle had been a chaotic battle. They hadn't paid attention to which forces had participated in the battle. Just the 10,000 Beast War Emperor's strength alone was enough to attract the attention of all the Tao Masters. The Jade Silk Tao world sacrificed a lot for the human race. When we defeat the 10,000 Beast War Emperor, we'll definitely reward you according to your contributions. In the middle of the 9 Tao Master seats, the Azure Sky Tao Master spoke slowly. With your words, the people I sacrificed were worth it. Yu Su cupped his fists angrily, but he was overjoyed. This way, the Jade Silk Tao world could recover some losses. However, before the two of them could finish speaking, 4 auras came from the starry sky opposite Azure Sky's seat. A young man carried a 1,000-foot-tall stone tablet on his shoulder and smiled slightly. How can the Feng-Yi Dao world be left out of the 10 realms of the Sky Desert? Chapter 679. Lin Yu. Brat, how dare you come here? Vast Abyss Dao Master and Jade Su Dao Master shouted when they saw Lin Yu's face. Lin Yu just walked over unhurriedly. Saber King Gui Relai Di Shi and Little Buddha were beside him. The 3 great emperors of Balance Realm experts accompanied him like protectors. The stone tablet on Lin Yu's shoulder was exactly the same as the stone tablets of the 9 great Dao world. You know that you're going to die, so you brought a coffin board here to die? Limitless Dao Master Li Sangtian sneered. His gaze was already fixed on Gui Rulai. Gui Rulai, you've been missing for 3 years. This time, you even betrayed us with the people of Murderous Heart Palace. Do you know that I can kill your entire clan just because of this? This coffin board is big enough for killing Heart Palace to be buried together. Gui Rulai and Little Buddha's faces darkened. Killing Heart Palace had been enduring humiliation for 1,000 years, but in the end, they couldn't escape being devoured by Li Sangtian. On one hand, Li Sangtian thought that killing Heart Palace couldn't escape, so he was in a hurry to deal with killing Heart Palace. On the other hand, he was worried that people would gossip about him, so he could only slowly eliminate killing Heart Palace's forces. If not, killing Heart Palace would have been destroyed long ago. This is a boundary tablet. I didn't expect Limitless Dao Master to be so blind. Lin Yu put down the boundary tablet. The heavy boundary tablet shook the ground as he smiled. However, if Limitless Dao Master insists that this is a coffin board, it's fine. After all, you have one on your back, so you should know more about coffin boards than I do. You have a sharp tongue. Li Sangtian's face turned red, as he was almost rendered speechless by Lin Yu's words. Brat, since you dared to come here today, I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of Vast Abyss Dao Master and Jade Su Dao Master. Li Sangtian, if you want to fight, do it yourself. Why do you have to bring people from other Dao worlds? Gui Rulai's gaze was sharp as he raised a saber with his right arm. His saber's sealing realm was the same as Yang Kai's. He had reached the level where everything was a blade without a saber. This old man wants to teach Lin Yu a lesson. What does that have to do with you? Li Sangtian, who had just stood up, sat down again. He glanced at Gui Rulai's right arm and immediately retracted his hand. Gui Rulai, I will settle our grudges sooner or later. But now that the war between the human race is imminent, I have to preserve my strength. Consider yourself lucky. Trash! What did you say? Li Sang was furious, but he knew that this Buddha Sha Xin was terrifying. After being locked up for 3,000 years, his improvement was even greater than his own 3,000 years of cultivation. Back then, he had used despicable methods to defeat Gui Rulai. Now that the gap between them was even greater, it was impossible for him to fight openly. This old man says that you're trash. Gui Rulai snorted coldly and put down his hand. I won't bicker with you. Little Buddha was stunned by their bickering. It turned out that the ancestors were like this. Could it be that Li Sangtian was angered half to death by his ancestor and harbored resentment in his heart, resulting in the later story? There is no place for the 10th boundary steel here. In the middle of the 9 Dao Masters, Dao Master De He of Jade Fall spoke slowly. His voice was like thunder, mixed with a supreme pressure, directly suppressing Lin Yu. Seeing this, Gui Rulai took a step forward. Di Shi and Little Buddha did the same. The 3 great Emperor realms blocked this pressure for Lin Yu. Even if there were other residual pressure, it didn't matter in front of Lin Yu now. The sky has Jade Fall, the earth has Feng-Yi. Jade Fall and Feng-Yi are originally 2 great Dao realms on equal footing. Lin Yu said in a deep voice, neither servile nor overbearing. He hit the stone steel in front of him with his palm. In an instant, his palm moved like a dragon and snake, leaving two big words on the stone steel. Fong Yi. This stone steel corresponded to the jade fall steel behind Dahi. Dahi's face darkened. The Zither Empress has been dead for 10,000 years. The Fong Yi Dao realm has long been removed from the Heaven Desert. The Fong Yi boundary steel is not qualified to be here. The Commander-in-Chief is right. Lin Yu, the era of emperors has passed. The dead Zither Empress will not be revived. How dare you small fries call yourselves the Dao realm? Song Yuan laughed coldly, echoing Dahi's words. The 9 Dao Masters' gazes also fell on the young man. In the Heaven Desert universe, no one of the younger generation dared to bear the gazes of the 9 Dao Masters without losing their composure. However, what they saw was the pressure from the 9 Dao Masters. It didn't cause any ripples on Lin Yu. Not only was the latter not afraid, but he also laughed softly. Interesting. The Songyuan Dao realm wasn't a Dao realm 10,000 years ago. I remember that we were able to become the 9th Dao realm back then because of the Jade Fall Dao Master's help. As soon as he said that, the faces of Jade Fall and Songyuan darkened. This young man was so young. How did he know what happened back then? The Songyuan Dao Master has the strength of a Dao Master. Naturally, he's qualified to establish the 9th Dao realm. Dahi narrowed his eyes slightly and sneered at Lin Yu. Perhaps I can consider it when you step into the equalization Great Darch realm. Interesting. It seems like the Jade Fall Dao Master really thinks of himself as the supreme being of the human clan. One sentence from him can affect the survival of the Heaven Desert Dao realm. Lin Yu spread his hands, hinting at something. When the people present heard that, their hearts tightened and they immediately recalled Dahi's words. Some Dao Masters supported Dahi, but Lu Youqi, Xian Du, Qiong Hua, Song Ling, and the others did not fully support Dahi. They were also somewhat displeased because of Dahi's words. Dahi also knew that he was a little anxious and wanted to explain. However, before he could say anything, Lin Yu interrupted him. Since a Dao Master can establish a Dao realm, I wonder if Buddha Sha Xian is qualified? Gui Rulai joined the Fong Yi Dao realm? This lad can actually subdue Gui Rulai. I was wondering why Gui Rulai would follow him like a follower. So that's why. While the Dao Masters were pondering, Lu Youqi chuckled and said, The successor of the Zither Emperor is indeed the successor of the Zither Emperor. I think the Zither Emperor would be proud of you if he knew that you had the courage to make Buddha Sha Xian take action. How could the other Dao Masters not understand the Heaven Spill Dao Master's attitude? Was he standing on Lin Yu's side? Jade Fall Dao Master, since Lin Yu has the strength of a Dao Master, I think the 10th Dao realm, Lu Youqi said again. However, before he could finish, he was interrupted by the Jade Fall Dao Master. I'm talking about Lin Yu's strength, not Gui Rulai's. After that, Lu Youqi frowned. Song Ling and Gui Rulai had the same reaction. They knew that the Jade Fall Dao Master would not admit to it. However, they did not expect him to be so shameless as to slap his own face. Lin Yu, I've always been a witness. The vast Abyss Dao Master is only able to sit firmly in the 9th Dao realm because he has the strength of a great emperor. As for you, you only know how to rely on external forces. How can I approve of your 10th Dao realm? The Jade Fall Dao Master said carelessly. He was ready to attack and erase Lin Yu's boundary steel. The 8 tyrannical Dao wills of equalization suddenly descended. However, before they could touch the boundary steel, Lin Yu laughed coldly. If I can defeat the vast Abyss Dao Master, does that mean that I have the strength of a Dao Master? Chapter 680. The voice was heard. Every single one of the 9 Dao Lords present was stunned. However, after being stunned for a moment, laughter could be heard. Kid, are you dreaming? Do you know the difference between a heavenly supreme and a balance emperor? Don't you know that the great emperor of equalization realm doesn't represent the Daolord level? Even if the vast abyss Daolord's experience is shallow, he's still a great emperor of 3 equalization realms expert. How dare you say that you have the strength of a Daolord? Li Sangtian and the 9 Nether Dao Masters said one after another. The Tsang Ling Dao Master and the Sky Spill Dao Master fell silent after Lin Yu said such arrogant words. Obviously, even the 2 Dao Masters who had interacted with Lin Yu didn't believe Lin Yu's words. It was impossible for them to believe that a young man had the strength of a Dao Master. Moreover, even if Lin Yu's strength had skyrocketed to a heavenly supreme after going through the heavenly tribulation, a heavenly supreme was nothing in front of a Dao Master. They didn't take him seriously at all. Perhaps when Lin Yu reached the same cultivation level as Little Buddha and Deshur, they would take a few more glances at Lin Yu. As for now, Lin Yu didn't have the right to do so. 8 of the 9 Dao Masters didn't believe Lin Yu. Only 1 Dao Master fell silent. That person was Yu Su. He had fought with Lin Yu and was injured. When the 8 of them thought that Lin Yu was being ridiculous, Yu Su chose to remain silent and didn't say anything. He didn't want to embarrass himself if no one told him about his battle with Lin Yu. The young man in front of him only smiled faintly after facing all kinds of doubts. His expression didn't change at all. It was as if these doubts couldn't affect his emotions at all. Others laugh at me for being too arrogant. I laugh at them for not being able to see through me. Lin Yu said casually as he played with his hands in front of his chest. He gradually looked up at the few people seated above. If you don't believe me, you can send a Dao Master to test me. How dare you? Dao Master Tsang Ling was alarmed. Lin Yu, I understand that you want to clear the name of the Fang Yi Dao world, but now is not the time. It seemed like Dao Master Tsang Ling was reprimanding Lin Yu, but in fact, he wanted to protect Lin Yu. If a Daolord really made a move, even Daolord Tsang Ling would not have a valid reason to protect Lin Yu's life under such circumstances. It's inevitable for young people to be arrogant. When we were young, weren't we as arrogant as Lin Yu? Lu Youqi chuckled and cooperated with Dao Master Tsang Ling to smooth things over. As long as you continue to grow in the future, the boundary stone of the Fang Yi Dao world is destined to appear beside the 9 great boundary stones again. Why are you in a hurry? He raised his eyebrows at Lin Yu. Before he and the others really attacked, Lu Youqi hoped that Lin Yu would retreat in the face of difficulties. After all, he had seen too many exceptional geniuses. Usually, these people were unable to truly grow and paid the price for their arrogance midway. Sky Spill Dao Master, what you said is wrong. Since Lin Yu said that he wants to challenge a Dao Master, as soon as Lu Youqi finished speaking, he spoke. If we Dao Masters avoid the battle, won't we be mocked by all the living beings of the Heaven Desert in the end and say that we, dignified Dao Masters, do not even dare to accept the challenge of a junior? Yu Su thought that he was going to attack Lin Yu and immediately clapped her hands. Commander, you're right. This kid is extremely arrogant. Since he wants to die today, he can't blame us. If we let him off just like that, since Lin Yu dared to challenge you today, I'm afraid that in the future, Lin Yu will dare to stand on top of our heads and pee on us. Yu Su was anxious to kill Lin Yu, so the words that came out of her mouth were much cruder. After she finished speaking, she even laughed awkwardly at herself. I also think that Dao Master Yu Su's words are reasonable. If we don't teach this kid Lin Yu a lesson, where will we put our faces? Ghost Emperor Tsang Yuan said coldly. He looked like he wanted to fight Lin Yu to the death, which made Yu Su's heart tighten. Dao Master Tsang Yuan, please wait. What I mean is for the commander to personally teach Lin Yu a lesson. He definitely couldn't do it. Yu Su didn't think that she had absolute confidence in defeating Lin Yu. After all, this kid was very strange. Tsang Yuan was even worse than her. Yu Su thought that if Tsang Yuan went out to fight Lin Yu, wouldn't he be asking for trouble from Lin Yu? Lu Youqi and Dao Master Tsang Ling's faces turned pale when they heard that the Dao Master of Azure Heaven was going to fight. How can the commander of the human race fight with a junior so easily? Before Dao Master Tsang Ling and Lu Youqi could mediate, the Dao Master of Azure Heaven spoke first. "Yu Su, you think too highly of this kid," the Dao Master of Azure Heaven said with disdain. There was a hint of disdain in the Azure Abyss Path Master's tone as he looked at Lin Yu. "Since you think that you have the strength of a Path Master and suspect that I had ulterior motives for agreeing to the establishment of the vast Abyss Dao world back then, fine. I'll let you fight the vast Abyss Path Master today." Dao Master of Azure Heaven, fighting a Heavenly Supreme with a Dao Master is not a good idea. Tsang Ling wanted to persuade him immediately. "This is Lin Yu's own choice. Dao Master Tsang Ling, you don't have to say anything." However, how could he let go of this opportunity to kill Lin Yu? Putting aside the fact that Lin Yu had already made him suffer once in the Jade Su Dao world, the fact that his golden crow had broken a wing after returning was enough for he to kill Lin Yu. Tsang Ling and Lu Youqi's expressions turned ugly. However, Yu Su's expression was even uglier. "Damn it, stupid Azure Heaven. You actually thought too highly of yourself when dealing with this kid." He had not expected that he would not bother to fight with Lin Yu and send Song Yuan instead. "Thank you, Commander. This is good too. I come from the Feng Yi Dao world. Although I did not get along well with the 8 emperors back then, the latter 8 emperors are dead. This also means that my decision back then was correct." Song Yuan chuckled. He was pleasantly surprised and excited. He had not expected that Lin Yu, whom he wanted to kill even in his dreams, would actually come knocking on his door today. "Lin Yu, you brat, you have the inheritance of the 8 emperors, but it does not belong to you. It belongs to me." Back then, the 8 Thearchs personally said that they would leave the Emperor treasure to me. Today, I want you to take responsibility for your arrogance. Secondly, I want to take back the 8 Thearchs' inheritance so that the items of the 8 Thearchs can remain in the vast Abyss Dao world and be carried forward. The battle had not started yet, but Song Yuan had already found an excuse for himself. Inverting black and white, twisting the truth. However, from the mouth of this old ghost emperor, it sounded righteous. "Song Yuan Dao Master, this kid is disloyal and deserves to be killed. There is no need to hold back." Azure Heaven Dao Master's voice was heard. It seemed to represent the order of the highest commander of the human race. Upon hearing this, the ghost emperor was overjoyed. It was obvious that he wanted to tell him that even if Tian Yen and Song Ling were here today, they would not be able to protect Lin Yu. "Why don't we let the commander make a move personally?" Yu Su's voice was heard slowly. He had already cursed these 2 fools in his heart. However, no one cared about his words because the Ghost Emperor had already made a move. Chapter 681. Lin Yu, give me your life. The vast Abyss Sect Master's roar was louder than Yu Su's. "Idiot, idiot!" Yu Su cursed, but the other's attention was not on him. Especially when he saw Li Sangtian, and the others plotting and waiting to collect Lin Yu's corpse. He was so angry that his old injuries flared up. "Sect Master." Dao Jungui Relai was worried about Lin Yu. "It's fine." Lin Yu was already very calm, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. When Song Yuan saw this, he suddenly stopped moving. Something was wrong. Song Yuan was shocked as he recalled the last few heavenly tribulations. "If Lin Yu uses the last heavenly tribulation against me again," Song Yuan thought to himself. He sized up Lin Yu's aura. "This kid has broken through from the law realm to the heavenly supreme level. He probably won't break through again in the near future." Although he was sure that Lin Yu's aura had not reached the point of breaking through to the 2-star heavenly supreme level, he was still worried. "That's not right. Even if I'm 99% sure that this kid can't break through, if I take the risk and fight him now, what's the difference between that and suicide? Everyone saw the vast Abyss Sect Master stop moving. Vast Abyss Sect Master? He asked. However, Song Yuan did not seem to hear him and continued to think. I've been stable for 10,000 years to be able to scheme against the 8 emperors and reach my current position. However, this kid can make me suffer again and again. Song Yuan touched his chest and thought to himself, the injuries from the last heavenly tribulation have not healed. I can't withstand another heavenly tribulation. Commander, this old man has a request. Song Yuan immediately turned and bowed to the Azure Sky Sect Master. Commander, do you remember Lin Yu's strange heavenly tribulation? So that's what you're worried about. He nodded and smiled. The vast Abyss Sect Master has always been a steady person, so it's reasonable for you to have such concerns. If this brat uses the heavenly tribulation again, I don't mind taking him down personally. Vast Abyss Sect Master, rest assured and fight. In the meantime, he glanced at Lu Yochi. Heaven Spill Dao Master, this is a fair battle. You won't help Lin Yu like you did the last time, right? How could it be fair for a Dao Lord to fight a heavenly supreme? Lu Yochi laughed disdainfully in his heart. This battle could have ended without going overboard. I've always believed that Lin Yu is a rare young genius. If he dies at the hands of the vast Abyss Sect Master Tian Yen, as the commander of the human race, I order you not to interfere in this battle. When he heard that Lu Yochi still wanted to protect Lin Yu, his face turned gloomy. At this moment, his voice changed. He was no longer as polite as before. From the moment he assumed the position of commander, he became even more arrogant. He didn't want to hear any voices that didn't agree with him. Lu Yochi's face also sank. Just as he was about to speak, he was interrupted by Lin Yu. Senior Lu, you don't have to help me. From a distance of more than 10 feet, the youth bowed with a solemn face. I appreciate your kindness. Not only Senior Lu, but Senior Dao Jun, Di Shi, and Little Buddha also don't have to help me. His words were filled with the pride of a youth. The great emperors of balance present couldn't help but admire him. Shortly after, Lin Yu glanced at Ghost Emperor Song Yuan again. This is a one-on-one battle. It's also a fight to the death. Does Dao Master Song Yuan have any objections? Of course not. Song Yuan snorted angrily. You're just an arrogant kid. I hope you have the same strength as your arrogance. Song Yuan raised his hands and stepped forward. He seemed to be moving slowly, but the moment he attacked, his figure had already exploded and rushed in front of Lin Yu. Be careful. Dao Jun Gui Rulai was worried, but Lin Yu had already given the order. This was a one-on-one battle. Song Yuan was extremely fast. When he was 3 feet in front of Lin Yu, his 5 fingers formed a claw. 33 streaks of dark ghost energy rushed out from his arm like pythons. They opened their scarlet fangs and were about to swallow Lin Yu. Today I will also take revenge for Ghost Ox and Snake God. His killing intent soared. Lin Yu was instantly surrounded by the 33 streaks of ghost energy. He had no way to escape. Of the 8 Dao Masters behind him, 7 thought the battle was over. After all, the difference between a Sky Sovereign and a Dao Master was an entire dimension. Only one person broke out in a cold sweat for Song Yuan. That was Yu Su. I hope that kid was injured in the previous battle with me. He's not in his best condition now. Die for me. In the next moment, Song Yuan's sharp claws were 1 foot away from Lin Yu. He opened his fangs and swallowed the ghost energy. That's all you have? Lin Yu's lips curled up. It seemed that this ghost emperor was still quite a distance away from Yu Su. At the same time, a 5-colored light burst out from Lin Yu's back. Metal, wood, water, fire, earth. The 5 elemental palm gathered in the center of his palm. It was so fast that it collided with Song Yuan's palm at lightning speed. What? Song Yuan's eyes widened. His first thought was that Lin Yu was very fast. He was even faster than him. It's coming! Yu Su gasped and unconsciously clenched her fist. The claw and palm collided in the air. Their bodies hadn't really collided yet, but their powerful auras had already begun to collide for the first time. Whoosh! Whoosh! 33 Heavens Demon Kill! Song Yuan roared. At this moment, he had already used his full strength. He didn't relax at all when dealing with Lin Yu. However, Song Yuan didn't know that he had already relaxed when he agreed to fight with Lin Yu. 33 streaks of demonic energy blasted toward Lin Yu from his arm. However, the 5 elemental palm was only 3 feet long at this moment. It blocked all the demonic energy. It didn't just block it. It directly suppressed it. Impossible! Song Yuan's heartbeat quickened. Right now, he only had 2 thoughts. The first was that although Lin Yu's cultivation was only at the Sky Supreme level, his supreme will was very strange. It was at least 10 times thicker than Song Yuan's supreme will. This brat was no ordinary Sky Supreme. The second was that the level of this palm technique was not a cultivation technique or a Dao art. It was a divine ability. Rumble. 1 streak, 10 streaks, 30 streaks. The 33 streaks of demonic energy were gradually destroyed. Song Yuan kept retreating. He was already at a disadvantage after just 1 move. However, before he could regain his footing, Lin Yu had already launched a second palm strike. It was the 5 elemental palm again. Song Yuan clenched his fists and blocked the palm strike in front of him. His Great Tharch aura completely erupted. However, he couldn't attack now. He could only defend. This kid's attacks were so fast. Song Yuan kept retreating. The 5 elemental palm struck out in the starry sky, shattering the void. Another rumble sounded. Dai and the other Dao masters in the seat of honor stared with wide eyes. Their faces were full of shock. They had expected Lin Yu to be beaten up by Dao master Song Yuan. But now it was the other way around. This kid really does have the combat strength of a Dao master. He's so young, but he already has such powerful combat strength. If he's given a little more time, he might become the strongest person in the Sky Desert universe. The successor of the Zither Emperor. He's the successor of that amazing genius back then. This successor isn't any weaker than the Zither Emperor of the same age. What kind of blessed land is the Square Path Dao realm to be able to nurture such a powerful genius? Dave clenched his fist. The words of these Dao masters were like slaps to his face when they fell into his ears. In the battle ahead, Song Yuan revealed an opening while dodging the palm strike. Lin Yu appeared at this opening and struck Song Yuan's chest with his palm. Crack! The sound of a rib breaking could be heard. Chapter 682. Crack! Song Yuan felt intense pain as his bones broke. He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. He could feel the 5 elements Dao Seal Palm's energy rumbling in his body, and a few of his ribs had been shattered. If he wasn't a Great Tharch of balance but an ordinary Law Realm or Supreme Realm cultivator, his internal organs would have exploded and he would have died. However, Lin Yu immediately swept his leg across Song Yuan's waist. This kick created a black sickle light that resembled the Grim Reaper's crossing. Coupled with the strength of a perfect 5 elements supreme, it directly hit Song Yuan. Crack! Song Yuan broke a few more ribs, and his entire body was sent flying. However, Lin Yu was even faster. He appeared where Song Yuan had stabilized himself and clenched his fist. The Great Void Dragon Manifestation fist struck Song Yuan's back. Boom! Stop, stop! Song Yuan kept spitting out blood as intense pain filled his entire body. He regretted it. He had been too careless. He knew that he shouldn't have fought with Lin Yu. There was something wrong with this kid. A Tao Master is nothing more than this. Lin Yu's cold voice sounded as the five elements Tao seal behind him spun at full speed. Bastard, I can't lose. Song Yuan's face was filled with fear. He wanted to resist, but Lin Yu didn't give him any chance to speak. The five elements Tao seal palm struck again. 1 palm. 5 palms. 10 palms. Lin Yu struck out 10 palms consecutively with the destructive five elements Tao seal palm. Even the great thearchs of balance present were shocked. Such a powerful palm technique, and he can still unleash it continuously. This kid's combat strength is probably around the five elements Tao seal realm. Song Yuan, Tao Master Song Yuan has kicked an iron plate today. The Zithartharch of the past and Lin Yu of today. Perhaps it won't be long before the Feng-Yi Dao world becomes the strongest Dao world in the Sky Desert universe once again. The Dao Masters all had their own thoughts, but De He's expression was gloomy. Commander, save me! Song Yuan burned all his cultivation to form a towering black gas to block the 10 five-elemental Dao seal palms. However, he knew that he could not block them. The war between the human race and the War Emperor of all beasts is imminent. In order to avoid casualties, I will temporarily stop the war. Great Harmony's voice was heard along with an equalization Dao intent. This equalization Dao intent locked onto Lin Yu's direction and blocked the 10 five-element Dao seal palms with Song Yuan. Lin Yu, I order you to stop. He had already blocked the 7 five-elemental Dao seal palms with a warning. However, how could Lin Yu, who had already made his move in the sky, be willing to give up? His eyes remained cold and detached. Of the remaining 3 five-element Dao seal palms, one was neutralized by Song Yuan, while the other 2 broke through the obstruction of the 2 Dao Masters and headed straight for Song Yuan. Impudent! I've already warned you. Great Harmony vanished on the spot. When he reappeared, he was already in front of the remaining 2 Dao seal palms. Do you really think that you can go against me? The golden crow sacred flames burned fiercely. The expressions of the Dao Masters changed instantly. Great Harmony's movements were too fast. They had only just realized that Great Harmony was about to attack Lin Yu. Boom! The golden crow sacred flames and the five-element Dao seal palms clashed. The 2 five-element Dao seal palms were instantly destroyed. The recoil spread to Lin Yu, who quickly retreated and stabilized himself. However, blood still flowed from the corner of his mouth. Great Harmony had thought that Lin Yu was severely injured and wanted to kill him to eliminate this threat. However, Lin Yu's eyes flashed. The eternal nomological laws that had fused into the five-element Dao seal palms began to circulate slowly. The power that surpassed the power of reincarnation reconstructed one of the five-element Dao seal palms. The palm energy condensed behind Great Harmony and struck Song Yuan Dao Master directly. Ghost Emperor Song Yuan flew dozens of feet away and smashed into the Song Yuan boundary steel. Hundreds of cracks spread from his limbs. Blood splattered everywhere. The boundary steel was on the verge of collapse. At the same time, Great Harmony was flustered and exasperated. He appeared in front of Lin Yu. At the same time, the golden crow sacred flames appeared. Lin Yu could still severely injure Ghost Emperor Song Yuan after he attacked. How could Great Harmony allow such a ruthless opponent to live? You've disturbed the peace of the human race. Die. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The universal sacred flames descended, bringing with them an incomparably violent killing intent. The temperature of the entire space rose instantly. However, Lin Yu's expression was still calm. In front of him, 2 saber intents, a wave of air, and an ice Dao intent appeared at the same time. Saber Sovereign Gui Rulai, Little Buddha, Di Shi, and Lu Yochi had come to his rescue. As Lin Yu had pulled some distance away from Emerald Sky Dao Master, these people had enough time to react and attack. At this moment, the auras of 4 balanced heavenly emperors gathered and formed an impregnable wall of air that blocked all of Great Harmony's attacks. After his attack was blocked, Great Harmony wanted to attack again, but Lu Yoqi had already spoken. As the commander of the human race, Emerald Sky Dao Master's actions are somewhat inappropriate. He didn't give Great Harmony a chance to refute. He was certain that Great Harmony's actions were wrong. Present, only Lu Yoqi had the right to say this. The other Dao Masters fell silent. Even Great Harmony's old face was filled with rage. I'm thinking for the greater good of the human race. Great Harmony waved his hand and snorted coldly. He stared at Lin Yu. The Tsang Yuan Dao Master is a hero of the 9 worlds. Who allowed you to hurt him like this? The atmosphere was tense. Yu Su and the others broke out in cold sweat and cursed in their hearts. If you hadn't underestimated your opponent at the beginning, you wouldn't have let Tsang Yuan get beaten up for nothing. Idiot. Idiot. Yu Su shook her head and sighed. She stood up and dug Ghost Emperor Tsang Yuan down from the boundary steel. Ghost Emperor Tsang Yuan's human-shaped imprint was left on the boundary steel. This time, the Ghost Emperor's reputation had been greatly tarnished. Yu Su looked at the Ghost Emperor's messy aura again. He was covered in blood. Lin Yu, this brat, was really ruthless. This old man wants revenge. Before he could finish speaking, Ghost Emperor Tsang Yuan had already spat out another mouthful of blood. That's enough. Yu Su smiled helplessly. Tsang Yuan Dao Master, you should rest for the time being. Let's call off today's battle. She treated Tsang Yuan's injuries while paying attention to Great Harmony. Lin Yu won this battle fair and square. I don't understand why you have to interfere, Commander. Dao Master Tsang Ling also chimed in. Azure Fall snorted. I'm the commander of the human race. I can only think for the greater good of the human race. Now that the great battle is before us, we cannot lose the combat power of the Tsang Yuan Dao world. This battle was started by Lin Yu himself, so I naturally have to stop it. He spoke righteously, but Lin Yu, who was behind him, smiled. If I were the one who lost today, Azure Fall Dao Master would still be sitting in your seat and gloating, right? The atmosphere became extremely cold again because of Lin Yu's words. Impudent! Great Harmony was furious, but Lu Yoqi, Gui Rulai, Song Ling, and the others were clearly on Lin Yu's side. Moreover, given the current situation, even if he used Lin Yu's silver cup as an excuse, he wouldn't be able to hold his ground for long. After all, the battle between Lin Yu and Tsang Yuan was a fair battle. Chapter 683. Yamato wanted to kill Lin Yu, but since Lin Yu was in the right, he couldn't kill him in front of so many people. Commander, since Lin Yu has already proven his strength, what about the 10th Dao world? Lu Yoqi reminded him, and Dai's old face turned red. He turned and glared at Tsang Yuan. What's the point of recuperating? The Tsang Yuan Dao Lord can't even kill a little brat. He might as well die. He vented his frustration on Tsang Yuan. At the same time, He sat back in his commander's seat and leaned against the boundary stone of the Azure Dao world. Song Ling and Lu Yoqi looked over. On the other hand, the other Dao lords maintained their silence as well. Their gazes landed on He and the teenager. Lin Yu had proven his ability and also proved that the Feng Yi Dao world, the overlord of the Heaven Desert 10,000 years ago, still had a chance to turn things around. This was a good thing for the Heaven Desert, but it was the greatest humiliation for the Azure Dao world and the Tsang Yuan Dao world. When they had fought with Feng Yi, they had sent the Feng Yi Dao world into a state where it was almost impossible to turn things around. But now, Lin Yu had regained some face for the Feng Yi Dao world. Since he has strength comparable to the Tsang Yuan Dao Lord, let's establish the 10th Dao world. Even though He had no choice, he still relented in the end. Lin Yu, I advise you to tuck your tail between your legs and behave yourself. Don't end up like the 9 Thearchs back then who all perished. He's words were extremely offensive to the 9 Thearchs. Tao Lord Songling, who idolized the Zither Empress, clenched her fists but could only endure it. The Zither Empress had perished and the 8 Thearchs had died in battle. The person in charge of the Heaven Desert today was Dahi. She couldn't resist at all. Even the Zither Empress from 10,000 years ago is still invincible now. Lin Yu spread his hands and spoke in a neither servile nor overbearing tone, as if he was protesting Dahi's words. Invincible. An invincible person has perished. What a joke. Although Yamato suppressed his murderous intent, his words were also meant to refute Lin Yu. If I remember correctly, the Zither Emperor was a half-step heavenly immortal when he died. The corners of Lin Yu's mouth curled up. When he said this, all the Tao masters present were moved. Even Di Shi and Little Buddha, who were beside Lin Yu, were stunned. Celestial being. What did that mean? 10,000 years ago, the Zither Empress had already reached the half-step heavenly immortal realm. You should know that heavenly immortal realm is above heavenly immortal realm, the Azure Tao Lord said. 10,000 years ago, the Zither Empress was a half-step heavenly immortal. Yamato's eyes narrowed subconsciously. His expression towards Lin Yu had changed from one of killing intent to one of fear. How did this kid know about the immortals of heaven? The great Emperor of Balance was a heavenly immortal. The Daolord's hearts tightened. Kid, are you serious? There are stronger realms above the great Emperor realm. This old man guessed correctly. Li Sangtian and Lu Youqi spoke one after another. Even the experienced Li Sangtian couldn't remain calm at this moment. No one below the heavenly desert can reach this realm. Am I right? Tao Master of Azure Sky? Lin Yu stood with his hands behind his back, the corners of his mouth curled up. He was full of confidence in his words. As for Yamato, he could only remain silent. No one knew that his heart was in turmoil because of Lin Yu's words. I don't know what you're talking about. Yamato snorted coldly. With a wave of his hand, his aura exploded. This was a warning to Lin Yu that he couldn't continue speaking. The Zither Emperor has long been invincible below the heavenly desert. The only one who can defeat him is in existence above the heavenly desert. At least below the heavenly desert, no one has the right to speak ill of the Zither Emperor. Lin Yu raised his hand, his aura extraordinary. With the Zither Emperor in his hand, a melodious sound of zither spread out. The Daolords were shocked. The sound of the zither was continuous. First, it was melodious. Then, it was imposing. In the next moment, it seemed to be able to compete with the heavens. Unfortunately, in the end, the sound of the zither changed. It was filled with endless unwillingness and resentment. The sound of the zither took shape, and an ancient temple appeared before everyone's eyes. The Daolords didn't resist. They knew that this was what Lin Yu and the Zither Emperor wanted them to see. In front of the ancient temple, a middle-aged man full of heroic spirit stepped into the sky and stood on the sky bridge. The aura emanating from his body was stronger than anyone else's. How could the Daolords not recognize this person? It was the Zither Emperor, who had been invincible in the heavenly desert 10,000 years ago. Even after 10,000 years, seeing the illusory figure of the Zither Emperor in the Zither Emperor's temple made the Daolords, who were the strongest existences in the heavenly desert, breathe heavily. They instinctively showed reverence. Reverence for the strong. Azure Sky Daolord, perhaps if I let you cultivate for another 100,000 years, you can reach the Zither Emperor's realm. Lin Yu's calm voice sounded without any hint of mockery. However, it wasn't mockery. To the others, it sounded more like he was narrating a fact. The Zither Emperor stepped onto the sky bridge and walked forward slowly. However, his figure gradually dissipated. On the sky bridge, an aura came crushing down on him. The Zither Emperor's final outburst was extremely intense. The Daolords could only sense that it was as strong as 3 Azure Sky Daolords. Enough! Yamato roared. His forehead was covered in cold sweat. No one could see what was happening below. With a wave of his hand, Yamato stopped Linyu from continuing to play the zither. From the beginning to the end of the zither music, there was also a will in the starry sky that seemed to be spying on this space. Linyu naturally knew who was watching him. He tactfully stopped playing. Now wasn't the time to clash head-on with that thing. Since the Square Tao realm has received everyone's approval, I would like to ask all of you to give the Square Tao realm the same treatment as the vast Abyss Tao realm. Linyu spoke slowly, interrupting the other Tao lords who had sunk into deep thought because of the zither music. Everyone looked over. Linyu had already erected the boundary stone with the words Square Tao realm written on it. Treatment. This time, even Song Ling and the others were a little surprised. They didn't understand what Linyu meant by treatment. The latter only looked at Yamato. When the vast Abyss Tao realm was established, the Azure Sky Tao Lord once suggested that the 8 realms should resonate and informed the 8 realms of the vast Abyss Tao realm, at that time, that the new Tao realm was established. This was also to clear the name of the vast Abyss Tao realm. Linyu smiled faintly. When he said that, Yamato and the dying vast Abyss Tao realm were enraged. Back then, the 8 realms' resonance was nominally to establish the vast Abyss Tao realm's prestige. However, that was only one of the reasons. The actual reason was that Yamato was showing off to the other Tao realms of the vast Abyss Tao realm. When the vast Abyss Tao realm was established, it was also the first day after the Square Tao realm had sealed itself. It symbolized Yamato's victory and the Azure Sky Tao realm's victory. It wasn't purely for the establishment of the new Tao realm. Now, Linyu was also asking Yamato to do what the Square Tao realm had done 10,000 years ago. The resonance back then. Yamato wanted to speak but was interrupted by Linyu. As the commander of the human race, the Azure Sky Tao Lord should lead the resonance and set a good example for the other Tao realms. The rule of the new Tao realm's resonance was set by the Azure Sky Tao Lord. Linyu wanted to return the slap that Yamato had given the Square Tao realm after 10,000 years. Chapter 684. When a new Tao world was born, the Tao world would resonate with it to correct its name. This was the rule that he had set back then. Now, Linyu actually knew about this and even asked he to prove it to the Feng-Yi Tao world. He naturally could not refute, as that would be a slap to his own face. However, if he agreed, it would be a slap to his own face from 10,000 years ago. At that time, the Azure Tao world had been insufferably arrogant and had suppressed the Feng-Yi Tao world. They had replaced the Feng-Yi Tao world with Songyuan and announced to the entire heaven desert. In the following 10,000 years, the Azure Tao world had relied on this momentum to gradually become the strongest Tao world. Now, Linyu and he looked at each other without the slightest hint of nervousness of a young man. Even Lu Yochi, who was present, could not compare to the calmness and composure he displayed. Lu Yochi even felt that this lad did not look like a young man at all. His appearance was just an illusion. This lad was simply a 10,000-year-old fox. Azure Sky Tao Lord, could it be that you've already forgotten the rules you set? Lin Yu's faint voice was heard. At first, everyone thought that he was so confident because he had the protection of Dao Jun, Gui Rulai, and Di Shi. However, now that they looked at it carefully, Lin Yu's confidence came from himself. Even now, he was still in a state of not backing down when he looked at the Azure Tao Master. I think that what Lin Yu said is not without reason. Since we are the masters of the Tao world, we should set a good example for the younger generation, Lu Yochi said. At the same time, he smiled at Tao Master Tsong Ling and said, "Little Tsong Ling, what do you think? Senior Lu, a man cannot live without integrity. Moreover, the Azure Tao Master is now the commander of the human race. Naturally, he will not go back on his words." The two of them echoed each other. The other Tao Masters could only remain silent, not knowing how to refute. "I was the one who set the rules. After a long silence, He finally said, "All right, in that case, I will give you the same treatment as Fang Yi." He could only compromise. It was better to slap himself in the face 10,000 years ago than to slap himself in the face now. Moreover, the battle between him and the 10,000 Beast War Emperor was imminent. He did not wish for a situation where the morale of the army would be shaken at this time. Even if he was unwilling, he could only raise his hand and exert the power of a Taoist master. In the next moment, the entire Azure Tao realm trembled. It was not the Tao world shaking, but the Tao worlds will seem to be controlled at this moment. Ryu Su could sense the new balanced Tharch realm in the Jade Silk Tao world. This was because the Tao Lord level and the Tao world had fused a portion of their will. If it wasn't for this, Linwu University wouldn't have gone into seclusion for more than a year and only dared to make a breakthrough when the Tao Lord Conference was held. Lu Yoqi and Sect Master Tsang Ling raised their hands at the same time. Xuandu, Qianghua, Nine Nether, Jade Su, and Saber Lord's former territory, the Infinite Tao World, also emitted will vibrations under Li Songtian's control. Everyone else in the Sky Desert universe sensed that something was wrong. At this moment, the merchant ships didn't dare to move forward. What's going on? Is the Sky Desert universe going to change after the battle 2 days ago and the shock today? Be careful. Don't go near the Tao world for now. Layers of ripples appeared in the space around them. Apart from the half-dead Song Yuan who couldn't control the Tao world, the other 8 worlds resonated at this moment. Everyone in the Fang Yi Tao world also sensed that something was wrong. Even if the Fang Yi Tao world didn't resonate on its own, they could now sense that the wills of the 8 worlds were acknowledging the Fang Yi Tao world. Lin Yu slowly raised his hand and gestured for Azure Tao Lord to continue. Yamato's expression was cold as he said slowly, "I, Azure Dave, as the commander of the human race, acknowledge the Fang Yi Tao world as the 10th Tao world." His voice was heard. The people of the Fang Yi Tao world heard it, and so did the people of the other Tao worlds. These people all understood one thing in their hearts. The once invincible Fang Yi Tao world, the strongest in the Sky Desert, the insufferably arrogant Fang Yi Tao world from 10,000 years ago, had returned. Sect Master succeeded. How? How did he get Azure Tao Lord's acknowledgement? Even the knowledgeable people of Killing Heart Palace found it unbelievable at this moment. I, Lu Yoqi, as the Heaven Spill Tao Lord, acknowledge the Fang Yi Tao world as the 10th Tao world. Lu Yoqi's voice was heard. I, Ming Yu, as the 9 Purgatory Tao Lord, acknowledge the Fang Yi Tao world as the 10th Tao world. That was the resonance of the 9 Purgatory Tao world. I, Li Sangtian, as the Wu Jiang Tao Lord, acknowledge the Fang Yi Tao world as the 10th Tao world. I, Yen Kuei, as the Jade Silk Tao Lord, acknowledge the Fang Yi Tao world as the 10th Tao world. I, Situ Xiu, as the Xian Du Tao Lord, acknowledge the Fang Yi Tao world as the 10th Tao world. I, Mu Wei, as the Jade Flower Tao Lord, acknowledge the Fang Yi Tao world as the 10th Tao world. I, Nangong Yu, as the Tsang Ling Tao Lord, acknowledge the Fang Yi Tao world as the 10th Tao world. Everyone in the Fang Yi Tao world was shocked. As voices of acknowledgement were heard, the 8 worlds resonated. They shed silent tears. The Fang Yi Tao world, the Tao world that had been sealed, the Tao world that didn't dare to show its face, the Tao world that had been erased, was now back. The resonance of the 8 worlds was justified. No one could deny the Fang Yi Tao world. From then on, the Sky Desert universe had a 10th Tao world. Sect Master, thank you for upholding the name of the Fang Yi Tao world. The Zither Empress knelt on the ground. She kowtowed heavily with the help of Bai Xuechen and Xinyan. He knew the history and the humiliation that the Fang Yi Tao world had suffered. Today, Lin Yu had avenged the Fang Yi Tao world. Thank you, Sect Master, for upholding the name of the Feng-Yi Dao world. Emperor Tong, Nuba, Lord Li, and Luo Shaoqian were once core members of the Imperial Gate. They also knew the history. At that moment, they all knelt down and thanked Lin Yu for upholding the name of the Feng-Yi Dao world. Countless disciples of the Feng-Yi Dao world knelt down. The people of the Murderous Heart Palace knelt down at the same time. They didn't have a strong sense of belonging to the Feng-Yi Dao world. However, after hearing Li Sangtian acknowledge the Feng-Yi Dao world, they understood that if it was Lin Yu, he might be able to uphold the name of the Murderous Heart Palace one day. Lord Zheng's decision was right. Sect Master is a reliable person. In the future, the Murderous Heart Palace can also avenge the humiliation of the past. Li Sangtian, your good days are over. The humiliation of 3,000 years completely erupted at that moment. Sect Master, please strengthen the Murderous Heart Palace. Sect Master, please strengthen the Murderous Heart Palace. Everyone shouted, even if Lin Yu couldn't hear them. However, since Lord Murderous Heart had followed him, Li Sangtian and Yu Su couldn't escape. The resonance of the 8 worlds reverberated in the sky desert universe for a long time. In the despair abyss, a scarlet eye suddenly opened. Big Harmony, don't bluff in front of me. The War Emperor's angry roar echoed in the despair abyss. He thought that the resonance was targeted at him. His aura was even stronger than De He's and Tian Yan's. Everyone attack. Kill the humans. Don't leave a single one alive. The War Emperor's command echoed in the despair abyss. In the next moment, the boundless army of demonic beasts attacked again. Chapter 685. Atop the boundary steel, De He and the others retracted their resonance as they sensed the Beast War Emperor's movements. I didn't expect Zhou Yingtian to be so impatient. Lu Yuqi stroked his beard. De He sneered. Forget it. Now that he's out, the Beast Army hasn't fully rested yet. This is to our advantage. In the last battle, although their strongest combatants were on par with the 10,000 Beasts War Emperor, the 10,000 Beasts War Emperor didn't have a chance. However, in the battle between the Beast Army and the Human Army had the upper hand. De He led the other Daolords away, but he didn't pay any attention to Lin Yu. Lu Yuqi and Daolord Song Ling saluted Lin Yu before leaving. As for the Jade Daolord and Daolord Xian Du beside Lu Yuqi, they glanced at Lin Yu before leaving as well. Lin Yu narrowed his eyes and sent a voice transmission to Lu Yuqi. Senior Lu, you have to consider the consequences. After receiving Lu Yuqi's reply, Lin Yu retracted his gaze. Sect Master, where are we going now? Gui Rulai asked. Lin Yu pondered. The battle between the Beast War Emperor and the Azure Daolord wasn't actually a battle between the human race and the beast race. He remembered that there were records in the ancient books that De He and Zhou Yingtian were once good friends. However, in order to gain power in the human race and curry favor with the previous Azure Daolord, De He used some disgusting methods to turn Zhou Yingtian into the human race's public enemy. From then on, the Beast War Emperor became a must-kill target for the human race. As for the beast race, they either formed their own race and hid in the abyss of despair, or were enslaved by the human race and became their mount. As for the truth, no one knew. Perhaps Zhou Yingtian knew. Unfortunately, Lin Yu didn't have a proper conversation with Zhou Yingtian on the day he was trapped. Although he had entered the abyss of despair through the teleportation formation. At that time, Zhou Yingtian was still in seclusion. Perhaps after Lin Yu really spoke with Zhou Yingtian, the truth of the past would come to light. Now, he only knew that ever since Zhou Yingtian and the All-Beasts Demon Clan had been banished into the abyss of despair, the demonic beasts scattered all over the Heaven Desert had been continuously killed. As a result, Big He's reputation in the Azure Dao world had risen and he had gradually attained his current status. 10,000 years ago, after Zhou Yingtian hid in the abyss of despair, the old Azure Sky Daolord perished, and he became the new Azure Sky Tao Lord. After that, it was the enmity of the Tao world of Feng Yi. Let's return to the square Tao world first, Lin Yu said. He had no obligation to be Yamato's accomplice. Before the truth was revealed, Lin Yu did not like Yamato's action of inciting the entire human race to war with the demon beast. All right. Gui Rulai and the others hurriedly nodded. In reality, they didn't want to get involved in this. Most people don't like war. Everyone was about to leave when suddenly, in Lin Yu's storage ring, the 9-colored egg, which seemed to be in a deep sleep and hadn't moved at all, actually started to vibrate at this moment. You can't help but want to come out? Lin Yu instinctively spoke to the 9-colored egg. However, the latter's response surprised him. I see. Lin Yu smiled faintly and turned to the other three. Let's not return to the square Tao world first. Let's make a trip to the Abyss of Despair. The Abyss of Despair. The three of them were stunned. Dao Jun clapped his hands. Sect Master, could it be that you want to capture the leader first and then go around to destroy the All-Beasts War Emperor's nest? I'm not that kind. Lin Yu spread his hands. There's a creation waiting for me there. He didn't explain about the 9-colored egg. In fact, the creation was for the 9-colored egg. If Lin Yu's prediction was correct, the 9-colored egg would be born in the Abyss of Despair. After speaking, the four of them arrived at the Abyss of Despair. Lin Yu quickly used the teleportation array to teleport, shocking Gui Rulai and the others. However, before they could ask, four troublesome fellows appeared in front of them. Gui Rulai, Lin Yu, what are you doing here? The person who spoke was Wu Jiang Dao Master, Li Sangtian. Together with Li Sangtian were Yu Su, Nine Nether, and Song Yuan, who had recovered some of his combat strength. We're here to do our thing, Gui Rulai said coldly, too lazy to explain to these people. However, the three people in front of him were obviously unwilling to give way. We're here under orders to stop the All-Beasts War Emperor. We can't let you pass. Li Sangtian stood with his hands behind his back. With Yu Su, Nine Nether, and Song Yuan here, the four Dao Masters were not afraid of Gui Rulai at all. Dahe's orders have nothing to do with us. The Square Dao world has no obligation to participate in the personal grudge between him and the All-Beasts War Emperor. Gui Rulai said. So what? The commander's orders are that no one is allowed to enter the Despair Abyss. Yu Su stared at Lin Yu and the other three, then looked at Ghost Emperor Song Yuan. Old Ghost, can you still fight? I can fight the two little ones. Song Yuan did not even look at Lin Yu. Now, he only had fear in his heart when facing Lin Yu. He no longer had the arrogance he had at the beginning. Song Yuan had his eyes on Di Shi and Little Buddha. Scram. Lin Yu said slowly, his calm voice filled with killing intent. He naturally understood why he had sent these people here. It was to attack the All-Beasts War Emperor from both sides. But what Lin Yu found strange was that with the myriad Beast War Emperor's 9 Dao Emperor's battle prowess, how could Dahe, Tianyan, Qianghua, Xiandu, and Song Ling be a match for Zhou Yingtian? However, since Dahe had sent Yu Su, Song Yuan, Li Sangtian, and Nine Nether, these four Dao Masters, it could only mean that he had full confidence in the battle. Something's not right, Lin Yu thought. If he was not wrong, the 9 Dao Masters had fought the All-Beasts War Emperor together. That was why there was a draw yesterday. Unless he had an even stronger trump card today, a trump card that would not lose. Otherwise, Zhou Yingtian would be unstoppable. At that time, even if there were 4 Dao Masters, they would not be a match for his 9 Dao Masters. A trump card that could allow Dahe to have full confidence in winning, Lin Yu was thinking, but his thoughts were interrupted by Nine Nether and the other three. Gui Rulai, Lin Yu, betrayed the human race and sought refuge in the Despair Abyss. You deserve to die. This 9 Nether Dao Master was the strongest Dao Master under by Luo and Tianyan. He either did not speak or spoke so insidiously. Yu Su, Li Sangtian, and Song Yuan looked at each other and immediately understood what was going on. Yes, Lin Yu and the others must have come to seek refuge in the despair abyss. They betrayed the human race and should be killed without mercy. Yu Su added. Shameless. Gui Rulai gritted his teeth and was about to attack. Interesting. The four of them were here before us. Could it be that they had defected before us? Lin Yu's playful voice sounded. He had seen such slander many times. Without giving the other party a chance to refute, Lin Yu asked again, I wonder what conditions Zhou Yingtian offered for the four Tao masters to betray the human race and come here. Chapter 686. How dare you? We were sent by the commander. How can we be the same as you? Li Sangtian said angrily. It's over. However, Lin Yu didn't seem to be in a hurry. Instead, he continued, it turns out that the commander of the human race is involved in this. The commander of the human race is colluding with the War Emperor. This is going to be a big deal for the Sky Desert universe. Lin Yu, don't slander us. Song Yuan, Wu Jiang, Nine Nether, this kid has a sharp tongue and is full of trick. Let's take them down together. After saying that, the four of them surrounded Lin Yu and the others in four directions. Tao Masters, I'm right. Are you going to kill me? Lin Yu stood with his hands behind his back. He wasn't nervous at all and continued to tease them. The ninth Hell Daelord's expression was icy cold to the extreme when he tried to frame Lin Yu. Li Sangtian, I'll leave Gui Rulai to you. Yu Su, clean up the mess. The vast abyss Daelord and I will deal with the others. Nine Underworlds was the strongest. His cultivation base had reached the 7 Tao balanced Great Emperor realm. Of the other three, Yu Su and Song Yuan were not displeased by Zhang Xian's words. However, Li Sangtian was stunned. Challenge Gui Rulai alone? I can't do it. But the others didn't give him a chance and started fighting. Yu Su faced Dishur and Little Buddha fought Song Yuan, who was half dead. Sect Master, give me 10 minutes, Gui Rulai said coldly. This was Dao Feng's confidence. He could kill Li Sangtian in 10 minutes, and then come to help Lin Yu. Li Sangtian was flustered and exasperated when he heard this. He pulled out the sword behind his back and gritted his teeth. Gui Rulai, you weren't my match 3,000 years ago. 3,000 years later, you still can't do it. Is that so? Gui Rulai held his sword horizontally. At this moment, the aura in his body erupted. Dao Feng's sharp sword intent filled the space and formed a state of confrontation with Li Sangtian's sword intent. Alright, today, I will clean up the mess for the infinite Dao world. As soon as Li Sangtian finished speaking, he suddenly felt a sense of oppression. His saber intent was actually being suppressed by Gui Rulai. Damn it, go back! Li Sangtian was enraged. He pushed his cultivation and saber intent to the extreme as he waved the Emperor artifact in his hand. Powerful gusts of wind tore through the void and slashed towards Yang Kai. What's the situation with the sect leader? Even though the 9 Purgatory Daelord hadn't made a move against Lin Yu, Gui Rulai was already extremely worried. He fought with all his strength and strove to defeat Li Sangtian as soon as possible so that he could assist Lin Yu. My good disciple, no one will help you today. Yu Su cackled as she stretched out her hand and gestured. Hand over the general outline of the 7 steps of sky trampling and master might be able to give you a quick death. There is no general principle, but there is only one life. Dishur's gaze turned sharp as he executed the sky trampling 7 steps. On the other side, Little Buddha was also fighting Song Yuan. Although Song Yuan was seriously injured and his combat strength had dropped to the level of a balanced Great Emperor, Little Buddha was still having a hard time dealing with him. However, compared to Dishur, it was still much better. The one with the greatest disparity in combat strength was Lin Yu, whom the 9 Purgatory Downlord had his eyes on. Rumor has it that you're the strongest person under by Luo. I wonder if that's true. Lin Yu's lips curled up as he displayed a calmness that shouldn't be present at this moment. You've got guts. Do you think that after defeating Tsang Yuan, you've defeated me as well? 9 Purgatory Downlord spoke slowly as the surrounding temperature plummeted. An icy cold aura had already surrounded Lin Yu. In the current situation of 4 against 4, only Gue Rulai had a chance of winning. Little Buddha, Di Shi, and Lin Yu's battle seemed to be extremely disadvantageous for the Yi-Dao world. Lin Yu has always been a coward, but he doesn't do things that he's not confident in. He glanced at the opposite side of the abyss of despair, which was countless stars away. Waves of battle waves were coming from there. That was the battle between the human race and the 10,000 beasts War Emperor's demonic beast army. Confident? Interesting. Since you know that I'm the strongest person under by Luo, you actually dare to say that you're confident? 9 Purgatory's expression was much more sinister. It was his first time seeing such an arrogant person. I admit that you have some ability, but you can only fight against 3 great emperors who are balanced. You won't be able to last more than a few moves in my hands. 9 Purgatory took a step and appeared within 10 feet of Lin Yu. At this distance, Lin Yu knew that he was already within the range of 9 Purgatory Daolord's instantaneous attack. Once 9 Purgatory Daolord suddenly attacked, he didn't have the confidence to avoid it and could only face it head-on. However, 9 Purgatory Daolord didn't attack immediately. Lin Yu understood this person. He and Song Yuan both cultivated the Ghost Dao, and their personalities were similar. They were both stable. He was waiting for Lin Yu to be fearful. After confirming that Lin Yu didn't have any other tricks up his sleeve, he would attack. Unfortunately, 9 Purgatory Daolord waited for a long time. Even though his aura continuously suppressed Lin Yu, he didn't see any reaction from Lin Yu. You're really not afraid? 9 Nether slowly approached, sizing up Lin Yu. None of these Daolords had been able to make it this far. None of them had been rash or brainless. Lin Yu had caused Daolords to suffer losses time and time again, so 9 Nether had to be on guard against him. I've said that I have absolute confidence in defeating you. Lin Yu spread his hands helplessly. To be precise, even if Bai Luo comes personally, I still have absolute confidence. Arrogant. Arrogant. What do you take us Daolords for? 9 Purgatory Daolord was slightly angry. He sped up and was already within 5 feet of Lin Yu. Daolords may be the top combat power in the Sky Desert universe. Unfortunately, it's not enough in the outside world. The outside world? Have you been to the Sky Desert universe? 9 Purgatory Daolord's eyes widened. No, Lin Yu said indifferently. Then what are you talking about? 9 Purgatory Daolord almost broke out in cold sweat. He warned again, do you know that you can't resist me at all? It's okay. You can attack me. Lin Yu stretched out his hand and gestured for 9 Purgatory Daolord to attack as he pleased. 9 Purgatory Daolord's heart skipped a beat. Why? Are you afraid? Lin Yu blinked. 9 Purgatory Daolord swallowed his saliva and thought to himself, I'm a Daolord of a world. Wouldn't I be ridiculed if I delayed dealing with a stinking brat? 9 Purgatory Daolord, why are you dilly-dallying? Li Sangtian spat out a mouthful of blood. He was shaken by Gue Rulai's powerful saber intent and was forced to retreat dozens of feet. He glanced over and thought that 9 Purgatory Daolord's skills were enough to deal with Lin Yu. However, he saw that 9 Purgatory Daolord and Lin Yu were in a daze. Lin Yu, today is the day you die. 9 Purgatory Daolord finally attacked when he saw this. Demonic chi instantly surged over. However, Lin Yu touched his storage ring. It's not me you're fighting. It's my egg. 9 Purgatory Daolord's face suddenly turned red. Lin Yu, I'm not a woman. Don't you dare humiliate me with such despicable words. Lin Yu's face twitched. What the hell was he thinking? The next moment, the 9-colored egg in the storage ring vibrated. Chapter 687. It's my egg that's fighting with you. Lin Yu's words still made Nine Nether feel extremely humiliated. He attacked ruthlessly. His 7-balanced Great Emperor's cultivation erupted without holding back as he attacked Lin Yu. Demonic aura covered the sky and covered the earth. But at the same time, the 9-colored egg suddenly flew out from Lin Yu's storage ring. It floated in the air and kept circling. This scene landed in the eyes of the crowd and attracted their attention. What's that? A 9-colored egg. What kind of demonic beast's egg has a 9-colored egg? Strange. I've never seen such a strange demonic beast egg. Everyone was in front of the abyss of despair. This was the place where demonic beasts gathered. It was the place with the strongest demonic aura in the Sky Desert universe. Because of that, when the 9-colored egg just appeared, it felt an intense joy. Of course, only Lin Yu could resonate with it. What the others saw was only a monstrous amount of demonic aura gathering. This egg is gathering the demonic aura of the abyss of despair. So that's what you're talking about. Nine Nether finally understood that Lin Yu wasn't humiliating him. But if he thought deeper, he wouldn't do anything but send an egg that hadn't hatched to fight him. Wasn't that even more humiliating? I've never seen such an arrogant person. Lin Yu, you'll pay the price for your arrogance today. Nine Nether Dao Master roared. Instead of retreating, he attacked Lin Yu with all his might. At the same time, after the 9-colored egg resonated with Lin Yu, a terrifying invisible wave rushed out in front of him. It was an extremely domineering wave that was invisible and formless. But the moment it appeared, with Lin Yu and the 9-colored egg as the center point, an unusual wave appeared in the surrounding starry sky. The wave instantly erupted and affected Nine Nether and the others. Moreover, it seemed to be extremely targeted. The wave only affected Song Yuan, Nine Nether, and the others. However, it didn't harm Lin Yu and the others at all. Damn it. A divine consciousness wave. It hasn't even hatched yet, but it already possesses such tyrannical fluctuations. What kind of demonic beast is this? The Emperor of the 10,000 Beasts, even the Emperor of the 10,000 Beasts, didn't have such strength back then. We can't let that 9-colored egg hatch. Everyone immediately became hostile. In an instant, their desire to kill Lin Yu and his group grew even stronger. As for Lin Yu, he was stroking the 9-colored egg with satisfaction. This was the second time the 9-colored egg had shown its might. The last time it showed its might, tens of thousands of people had died. Unfortunately, it was destined that blood would not flow like a river this time, because the people in front of him were Daelord-level existences. However, even at the Daelord level, the fluctuations from the 9-colored egg today were much stronger than before. It was enough to make 9 underworlds stop attacking. It's impossible for me to be suppressed by your egg. 9 Nether felt extremely humiliated. As for Dao Jun, Gui Rely, Di Shi, and the others, they also felt the strength of Lin Yu's group. Gui Rely originally thought that Lin Yu would be in danger and was extremely worried. He wanted to end the battle quickly. However, when he was anxious, he couldn't defeat Li Sangtian directly. However, it was different now. Since Lin Yu already had the strength to fight, he could also fight without worry. Come! Gui Rulei's blade intent surged. It was even sharper and more decisive than before. This scene made Li Sangtian squint his eyes. His face turned even uglier as he cursed 9 underworlds in his heart. Why couldn't he suppress Lin Yu? With the cultivation of a 7-Dao balanced Great Emperor, he could actually make Lin Yu's aura become so arrogant. On the contrary, with the 9-colored egg showing its might, they actually didn't have the same advantage as before. Lin Yu, it's just an egg. Do you really think you can stop me? Nine Nether Dao Master was obviously unwilling to accept this. His figure exploded and appeared in front of the nine-colored egg. He struck his palm towards the egg. However, he suddenly changed his mind and attacked Lin Yu with his palm strike, creating a diversion. Even at this moment, Nine Nether still felt that killing Lin Yu first was the best choice. However, his attack didn't succeed because the nine-colored egg moved at the same speed and blocked in front of Lin Yu. Bang! The egg and the palm collided. The space cracked. Bastard, you haven't hatched yet and you dare to take my palm. 7 Dao balanced Great Emperor Realm cultivation erupted without holding back. Demonic chi filled the sky and surged towards the nine-colored egg. However, although there was no demonic beast in the nine-colored egg, it was like an ocean of Yao Qi at this moment. Nine Nether's palm strike was like hitting a vast ocean. Yao Qi, why is there such a dense Yao Qi? Nine Nether naturally sensed that something was wrong. He had never sensed such a strong Yao Qi from a demonic beast. It was as if he wasn't fighting a demonic beast, but a starry sky filled with Yao Qi. All of his palm strike was instantly devoured by the Yao Qi starry sky. Whoosh! Nine Nether took a few steps back. It wasn't because he was pushed back by the nine-colored egg, but because he wasn't sure if he would suffer a backlash. There's something strange about this thing. Nine Nether thought to himself. Lin Yu touched the nine-colored egg again. You haven't hatched yet. Looks like you're still pushing it. A gentle voice with a hint of pity could be heard. However, it seemed that the demonic beast in the nine-colored egg already had an extremely strong will. When it heard Lin Yu's words, it protested, unwilling to admit defeat. In the next moment, the surrounding demonic chi surged again. Nine Nether narrowed his eyes and took a few steps back to increase the distance between them. However, his steady personality gave the nine-colored egg more time to prepare. The demonic chi gradually formed a terrifying storm and gathered towards Lin Yu. Inside the abyss of despair, a series of rumbles could be heard. It's the cry of a demonic beast. Why are there still demonic beasts in the despair abyss? With Zhou Tian's personality, he should have come out in full force by now. Wu Jiang, Nine Nether, and the others' hearts tightened. If there were still a large number of demonic beasts here, things would be even more troublesome. However, they didn't see any demonic beasts for a long time. The demonic chi was still monstrous, and it was even stronger than before. It was like a giant starry sky storm, gathering towards the nine-colored egg. Beneath the tempest, a hand appeared from within the nine-colored egg. To be precise, it wasn't a hand, but a finger on a palm. What's that? Nine Nether circulated his cultivation to the extreme and formed an equalized Dao will, preparing a perfect defense. But in the next moment, the moment the finger appeared, it actually teleported to within 3 feet of Nine Nether from several hundred feet away. Damn it! Nine Nether's expression changed drastically, and the hair on his back stood on end. 7 equalized Dao will Great Emperor cultivation erupted, and a demonic chi armor appeared on his body. However, in the next moment, even though he tried to dodge, the fingers still touched his armor. Rumble. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.